Chapter 2595 Reaping What You Sow. Buzz. Buzz zzz. In the sky, a sharp cry rang out. Flying desolate beasts appeared in the sky. Everyone's face turned pale. What do we do? Tong Xier's face was also pale. Let's go all out, little fellow. I'm counting on you. Lu Ming looked at the metal ball. The metal ball was able to deter those metal desolate beasts. Now they could only rely on the metal ball. Boom, boom, boom. Countless metal desolate beasts approached. Their terrifying auras came pressing down like an avalanche. Ah! Ah! Some people had already been swept into the beast tide, and they let out a series of miserable cries. However, in the blink of an eye, there was no sound. The metal ball in Lu Ming's hand expanded. Its big mouth opened and closed, its size widened, and it glared at the metal desolate beasts. When the metal demonic beasts saw the metal ball, they looked frightened. They went around Lu Ming and the others and did not attack them. It's effective. Lu Ming and the rest were overjoyed. This scene was also seen by the others. Charge at them, they're fine. We can leave the myriad gold star with them. The remaining people who had not died rushed toward Lu Ming and the rest. Let's go. Lu Ming and the rest would not just stand there like fools. They used the metal ball to open up a path and rushed into the beast tide. You guys did not save me. You guys will die a terrible death. When those people saw Lu Ming and the rest rushing into the beast tide and about to disappear, they all roared madly. Lu Ming and the rest looked down on them. These people wanted to kill them just now. They were not fools. How could they possibly save them? And he said that he was going to leave them in the lurch. What a joke. Screams and rumbles came from behind, and soon, there was no more sound. Lu Ming and the rest used the metal ball to clear the way. It was very safe and they said through the beast tide without any danger. However, after they had advanced for a while, they encountered another horde of beasts with an astonishing number. They were running through the forest, their roars thundering. I've heard that the myriad gold star only has a beast tide once every 10,000 years. I didn't expect that we would encounter one this time. Tong Xie said. There was a look of lingering fear on her face. This time, if they didn't have the metal ball, they would also be in danger, and it would most likely be a disaster. They said through the beast tide with the metal ball and entered a forest. Roar! Not long after they entered the forest, they heard the roars of wild beasts. At the same time, there were sword chi and saber light that soared into the sky. It was obvious that someone was fighting with the wild beasts. The next moment, they saw a group of people rushing over here, followed by a bunch of dire beasts. It's him! The expressions of Lu Ming and the rest changed. One of them was the bald man from the Origin Luo Palace. The other person was the old man from Fengyun Hall. At this moment, they were all in a sorry state as they were being chased by a group of desolate beasts. It's those The bald man from the Origin Net Palace also saw Lu Ming and the others. His eyes glowed with a cold light. Then, the bald man from the Origin Luo Palace charged at Lu Ming and the others. The rest of them followed the bald man and charged at Lu Ming and the rest. It was obvious that he wanted to drag Lu Ming and the rest into the water. You're really looking for death. Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. Let's bring them to the beast tide. Lu Ming sent a voice transmission to Xian Yanging and the rest. Their eyes lit up as they understood what Lu Ming and the rest were up to. They turned around and ran towards the beast tide. The bald burly man and the rest were in hot pursuit, following closely behind Lu Ming. They had just said through the beast horde, so they were not far away. Soon they saw a large group of dire beasts. Lu Ming kept the metal ball in his storage ring. Roar! Roar! The moment the dire beasts saw Lu Ming and his group, they charged at them in a frenzy. Not good. Damn it. The bald man and the others were shocked. On the other hand, Lu Ming's group turned around and rushed towards the bald man and the others, bringing along a large group of dire beasts. Damn it, you all deserve to die. A bunch of lunatics. The bald burly man and the rest roared. They thought that Lu Ming and the rest could not escape and would die with them. You guys get out, get out? The bald man roared. Didn't you want to chase us just now? Why are you telling us to get lost now? Lu Ming sneered and continued to chase after the bald man and the rest. The bald burly man and the others revealed looks of despair. There was a large group of desolate beasts behind them, and there were even more desolate beasts in front. In the sky, there were also densely packed flying desolate beasts. He simply had no way out. At this moment, Lu Ming and the rest suddenly stopped. Then, the metal ball in his hand appeared again. He took out the metal ball and the dire beasts automatically bypass, said Lu Ming and the rest, pouncing on the bald man and the rest. Enjoy it, Lu Ming sneered. Then he, Xian Yanqing, and the rest rushed into the group of dire beasts, safe and sound. The bald man, the old man of Fengyun Hall, roared in anger and hysteria. They were aggrieved, unwilling, and afraid to dick. They understood that they had been tricked by Lu Ming. They wanted to charge at Lu Ming and the rest, but countless dire beasts had already drowned them. A few 5th-level virtual god-level wild beasts charged at the bald man. The bald man tried his best to block a few moves before he was torn apart and died on the spot. The old man of Fengyun Hall was also torn to pieces by the wild beasts after only a few moves. Lu Ming and the few of them left the place. Now that there's a beast tide, be it on the ground or in the sky, there are terrifying dire beasts. There shouldn't be any experts in the sky blocking us, right? Let's leave now, Lu Ming said. Everyone nodded. Those powerhouses had probably left the myriad gold star after seeing the beast tide. However, with so many desolate beasts in the sky, they naturally could not take out the starry sky battleship to fly. They had to pass through the group of desolate beasts before they could leave. They flew toward the sky. Buzz. All of a sudden, a sharp screech was heard. A huge silver-white eagle that looked as if it was made of silver flew over and fixed its eyes on Lu Ming and the rest. A terrifying aura emanated from the condor, causing Lu Ming and the rest's hearts to race. Terrifying. It was so terrifying. The condor gave them a terrifying feeling. It was even more terrifying than the 7th-level Void God Realm wild beasts they had encountered before. It was definitely an existence that had Serpa, said the 7th level of the Void God Realm. This kind of existence was too shocking. Lu Ming felt that the other party could kill him in one move. The silver condor's cold eyes stared at them. Lu Ming and the others could not help but tense up and break out in cold sweat. Crack, crack. The metal ball opened its mouth wide and stared at the eagle. The silver condor's gaze landed on the metal. Unlike other desolate beasts, there was not much fear in the silver condor's eyes. D23. Chapter 2596. Return. When they saw the silver condor's cold and fearless gaze, Lu Ming and the others could not help but feel nervous. No way. This silver eagle was not afraid of the metal ball. Then wouldn't they be finished? Being ignored by the silver condor, the metal ball was furious. It seemed to feel that its dignity had been challenged. Its body swelled up, and its eyes were wide open. Its mouth was full of fangs, and it bit down. At the same time, 2 tentacles stretched out of its body, which was like liquid metal, and waved vigorously as if threatening the silver condor. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Xian Yanjuan, and Tong Shi didn't even dare to breathe. They stood there, motionless. Now, he had to rely on the metal ball. If the metal ball couldn't scare off the enemy, they would be in danger. Fortunately, the silver condor finally reacted. After its cold eyes swept over Lu Ming and the rest, it turned around, let out a long hiss, flapped its wings and left. Not only that, even the other flying desolate beasts in the surrounding area also left. Let's go! Lu Ming and the rest heaved a long sigh of relief. They felt a chill on their backs and they were drenched in cold sweat. Crack, crack. The metal ball shrunk and turned into a round metal ball again. It jumped around in front of Lu Ming, as if it was showing off its achievements. Let's go! Lu Ming grabbed the metal ball and flew to the sky. This time, they were not in any danger. They flew all the way to the sky above the atmosphere and approached the outer sea before they stopped. There were no more desolate beasts here, nor were there any other powerful cultivators. Tong Shi took out the starry sky battleship. After entering the battleship, it turned into a stream of light and flew out of the atmosphere, charging into the vast starry sky. After entering the starry sky, they heaved a sigh of relief. Many things had happened on this trip to Myriad Gold Star, and they had finally left without any danger. "It'll come again when my cultivation level is higher," Lu Ming muttered. This was a treasure land. He could hunt for a large number of metallic desolate beasts. Moreover, Lu Ming had a treasure like the metal ball. The efficiency of hunting for beast cores was amazing. However, they definitely couldn't come in the near future. It wasn't just because of the beast tide. After the beast tide, the experts of the other forces would probably return to the Myriad Gold Star and look for them. After a few years, when his cultivation was higher, he would come back. Then, they sorted out the storage rings they had obtained from the enemy. They found some beast cores and divine crystals. He would organize the items and sell the beast cores when he returned to the righteous army. Then, B would split them equally. Time passed, said by quickly, and after a month, they had returned to True Heaven Star. It was a place in the righteous army that specialized in buying, selling, and even exchanging treasures. After returning to True Heaven Star, Tong Xie brought Lu Ming and the rest here and sold all the metal beast. In addition to their spoils, they had a total of 120,000 divine crystals. 120,000 divine crystals. "We will take 30,000 each." Lu Ming smiled and began to divide it equally. "No, I only need 10,000. This time, it's all thanks to you guys. I didn't do much." Tong Xie quickly refused, her face slightly red. This time, she really did not put in much effort. Whether it was Lu Ming, Kic Nianqing, or Zik Nianjuan, they were all more powerful than her. Eiler's contribution was the least, so she was a little embarrassed. Said to take 10,000 divine crystals. We agreed that we would split the divine crystals equally. Since we agreed, we naturally have to keep our word. Lu Ming pushed the 30,000 divine crystals to Tong Xie. Lu Ming was already very satisfied with the metal ball. If Tong Xie had not brought them there, he would not have been able to get it. However, Tong Xie still refused and only accepted 20,000 divine crystals. Lu Ming, "I'll return the interplanetary warship then. You guys have a chat." Tong Xie said goodbye and left. 100,000 divine crystals left. Lu Ming took out the remaining divine crystals. "Just give me 30,000. With a wave of his hand, Xian Yanjuan took a storage ring with 30,000 divine crystals and left. Only Lu Ming and Xian Yanging were left. Xian Yanging took 30,000 yuan, while Lu Ming kept 40,000 yuan. "With these divine crystals, I should be able to break through quickly." Xian Yanging smiled. She had devoured the memories of her past life, and her cultivation speed was astonishing. Her comprehension of the cultivation path was especially smooth. Therefore, as long as she had the resources, she could break through very quickly. However, Xian Yanjuan had an even greater advantage. When she fused with her past life, it was equivalent to her past life being reborn. She almost didn't need to comprehend it again. Her breakthrough was even faster and there was almost no bottleneck. The two of them chatted for a while before returning to their rooms to cultivate. On this trip to Myriad Gold Star, after a series of battles, Lu Ming had made great progress. His comprehension of the battle character formula and the way of the Dominator had both improved greatly. Lu Ming had a feeling that he would be able to break through soon. Lu Ming placed the metal ball in his room and focused on cultivating in seclusion. In the blink of an eye, a year had passed. Lu Ming's body, which had been meditating for a year, suddenly exuded a strong suction force. The divine qi between heaven and earth frantically gathered towards his body and then rushed into it. Then, Lu Ming waved his hand and a pile of divine crystals appeared. They exploded continuously and turned into rich divine qi that was absorbed by Lu Ming. The world energy and the ruler's energy in Lu Ming's body began to surge and quickly became rich. A few days later, the aura on Lu Ming's body rose sharply. Then he slowly went into hiding. Lu Ming opened his eyes. There were two bright and dazzling beams of light in his eyes. 4-star Heavenly Emperor. Lu Ming revealed a smile. After training on the Myriad Gold Star and cultivating exclusion for a year, Lu Ming had another breakthrough. Of course, this was because Lu Ming's cultivation level was still low. He was at the Heavenly Emperor realm. Moreover, the cultivation environment of the desolate universe was much better than that of the Heaven realm. That was why he could break through so quickly. If he was in the Heaven realm, it would be impossible to break through in such a short time. Of course, if he reached the Void God realm in the future, it wouldn't be that easy breakthrough. It was very difficult to break through to each level of the ethereal God realm unless one was a heaven-defying genius with the help of some rare natural treasures. Lu Ming's abilities had undoubtedly increased again after he reached the 4-star Heavenly Emperor level. Now, if he activated the double combat strength, he could casually kill a 3rd-level Void God realm existence. He could even fight against a 4th-level Void God realm existence. Lu Ming got up and stretched his back. A dense burst of explosions came from his body. This fellow. Lu Ming opened his eyes and realized that the metal ball was lying limply on the ground. 2. Looked listless and had almost turned into a pool of liquid. This guy, could it be that he didn't catch anything and ended up like this? Lu Ming made a guess and a piece of metal beast core appeared in his hand. Previously, Lu Ming still had dozens of scattered beast cores that he had not sold. 23. Chapter 2597 Lu Ming's standard of naming. As soon as the metal beast core appeared in Lu Ming's hand, the metal ball immediately bounced up and shook vigorously like a piece of jelly. A big mouth and a pair of eyes appeared on it. The eyes were only glowing and were staring at the metal beast core in Lu Ming's hand. Buzz. The metal ball jumped over, opened its mouth, and swallowed the beast core in one gulp. It began to chew on. After a while, the metal ball finished the metal beast core and looked at Lu Ming eagerly. Lu Ming took out a few more, but they were all finished by the metal ball in a few bites. We can't go on like this. We don't have that many metal beast cores for it to catch. Lu Ming frowned. A metal beast core is actually a kind of refining material. I wonder if this guy will eat other metal attribute relining materials. At the thought of this, a piece of refining material appeared in Lu Ming's hands. 2. Shone with different colors and was made of metals of different attributes. Gotcha. Lu Ming had just taken it out when it was swallowed by the metal ball in one bite. It ate with great relish. It really ate it. This fellow's teeth are really good. So, combat weapon, does it eat it? On second thought, Lu Ming took out another Emperor-level weapon. The metal ball reached out 2 tentacles and grabbed the Emperor-level weapon. It chewed it into pieces in 2 or 3 bites. Then, it shook its round body, as if it was saying that the level of the combat weapon was not high enough and it didn't have enough taste. Lu Ming was speechless. The next moment, a bow and arrow appeared in his hands. This was the fallen star bow, an incomplete heavenly Dao soldier. It had given Lu Ming a lot of help when his cultivation level was still weak. The metal ball grabbed it, and with 2 or 3 cracks, it swallowed it. Only then did the metal ball's eyes reveal a hint of satisfaction. I'll give you a few more. Lu Ming took out a few more Heaven's Path soldiers, including the Great Desolation Spear. The Great Desolation Spear had been damaged during the battle with the divine ancestor of the non-human race. Furthermore, to Lu Ming, a Heavenly Dao soldier-level weapon was no longer of any use. He could shatter a Heavenly Dao soldier with a wave of his hand. The metal ball did not reject any of them. It chewed and swallowed the Heaven Dao soldiers one by one. After swallowing them, the metal ball emitted a layer of radiance. It then looked at Lu Ming eagerly. This guy's appet. 1. He is too big. Lu Ming had a headache. Then he gritted his teeth and took out 2 weapons. One was a battle saber and the other was an axe. They were both divine weapons, but they were only level 1 low-grade divine weapons. They were the spoils of war that Lu Ming had obtained from the enemy. In the Battle of Myriad Gold Star, Lu Ming and the rest had each obtained a few divine artifacts. However, the highest was only a level 3 low-grade divine artifact. They did not obtain any level 4 low-grade divine artifacts or above. When saw the 2 level 1 low-quality divine artifacts, the metal ball's eyes lit up, and it grabbed them and started to gnaw on them. This was a divine artifact. Although it was a level 1 low-grade divine artifact, its toughness was extraordinary. Even with Lu Ming's current ability, he would need to put in some effort to destroy it. However, the metal ball could bite off a large piece of it with one bite. It was eating with a fragrant sound. The metal ball was slightly slower in eating the divine artifacts. After half an hour, the metal ball finally destroyed the 2 divine artifacts. Its entire body was glowing, and it had a satisfied expression. This guy, he won't be eating divine weapons often in the future, right? At the thought of this, Lu Ming's face darkened. Every divine weapon was expensive. If he continued to cat like this, he would definitely go bankrupt. However, at the thought that this guy would level up if he ate too much, Lu Ming's heart burned with passion. As long as he had enough metal materials and various weapons for the metal ball to eat, it would be able to keep advancing. It would be of great help to him in the future. Let's eat some low-level food first, he'll think of a way. Lu Ming pondered and took out some of the refining materials that he had collected over the years. Over the years, he had collected too many metal forging materials. He had given a portion of them to the Dragon Alliance to forge weapons, but there was still a lot left. However, their levels were not high. Although he only took out a portion of it, it was still piled up like a small mountain. Seeing so much metal materials, the metal ball's eyes lit up and it pounced into the pile of refining materials and began to gobble them up. For the next half a month, Lu Ming stabilized his realm while observing the situation of the metal ball. In the past half a month, the metal ball had almost finished all the refining materials that Lu Ming had collected. However, the metal ball did not show any signs of advancing. It seems that the grade of the materials used is too low. They can't provide enough energy for the metal ball. Lu Ming sighed. Lu Ming guessed that after the metal ball swallowed the metal material, it would be able to absorb the spiritual essence of the metal ball material and improve itself. Only by absorbing enough golden essence could it transform and advance. The energy contained in low-level blacksmithing materials was too little for the metal ball that was already at the 2nd level of the Void God realm. What do? Don't tell me you're going to keep feeding the divine artifact? How can I afford to feed it? Lu Ming sighed. Wait! Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. If a divine artifact couldn't afford to feed him, then he would feed him divine artifact fragments. In the desolate universe, countless people fought each other every day, and countless people went to various forbidden places, dangerous places, and some unknown planets for adventure. They fought and killed each other. Every day, there would be mysterious fragments. When a divine artifact shattered, it would produce mysterious fragments. The metal ball only needed the spiritual essence of the metal. In that case, eating a divine artifact shard and eating a divine artifact were essentially the same. However, the price of a divine artifact fragment was much cheaper than a divine artifact. In fact, the price of a divine artifact fragment was even cheaper than the materials of the same level. This was because refining materials could be used directly for refining. However, if one wanted to reuse a mystical fragment, they would have to first extract the materials from the divine artifact fragment. However, when refining a divine weapon, all kinds of different materials had been completely intertwined and mixed together. It was very difficult to extract them. The cost of labor was also very high, which led to the price of the divine artifact fragments not being very high. I'll go and buy divine artifact fragments. At the thought of this, Lu Ming was overjoyed. He grabbed the metal ball and walked out. The metal ball itself was like a ball of liquid metal. At this moment, it squirmed along Lu Ming's palm and turned into a golden bangle, which Lu Ming wore on his wrist. Not bad, this is not bad. Lu Ming was overjoyed. He turned it into a bracelet and wore it on his wrist to avoid attracting attention. I'll give you a name, Lu Ming said as he looked at the bracelet on his wrist. A pair of eyes immediately appeared on the bangle, looking at Lu Ming with antic. 1. Asian. You're round like a ball. I'll call you Chio Chio, how about that? Isn't it good enough? Lu Ming said. The metal ball blinked its eyes. It seemed to like it. Dandan, Bubble, Chio Chio. At the thought of Dandan, Bubbles, and the rest, Lu Ming smiled in his heart. He was quite satisfied with the standard of his own naming. Outside, Lu Ming rose into the air. Not long after, he arrived at the place where the righteous Sky Army traded treasures. 23. Chapter 2598 Yunfeng City. Half an hour later, Lu Ming walked out of the place where the righteous army traded treasures. He frowned slightly. He did buy some divine artifact fragments, but not in large quant. 1. Ties, only equivalent to about 10 divine artifacts. They were all low-level divine artifact fragments, and he had spent 200 divine crystals. These fragments of divine artifacts are not enough. Where should I buy them? Lu Ming pondered. Lu Ming! Suddenly, a crisp voice rang out. Lu Ming looked up and saw Tong Shu. Lu Ming, are you here to buy treasures? Tong Shu flew over with a smile. Yes, but I'm here to buy some fragments of divine artifacts. However, there are too few fragments here. Lu Ming said. Purchase divine artifact fragments? Tong Shi'er's gaze flickered, and she immediately thought of that metal ball. After all, the righteous army isn't big, and they lack powerful refining materials. Therefore, they don't have many divine artifact fragments in storage. Even if many people have divine artifact fragments, they won't sell them here. Tong Shi-er explained. Oh, Miss Shi, then where can I buy a large number of divine artifact fragments? Lu Ming asked. If you want to buy a large number of divine artifact fragments, you can only go to Cloud Peak City. Tong Shi said. Yunfeng City? You mean the Yunfeng City where the Yunfeng Pavilion is located? Lu Ming's eyes flickered. The chaotic astral river has an extremely vast territory. It has many life planets. In addition, there are also many planets without any life. There are countless large and small planets in total. Therefore, there were many forces, big and small. For example, there were at least 800 forces like the Righteous Heaven Army and the Yuan Luo Palace. However, among all the powers in the chaotic astral river, the most powerful one is undoubtedly the Yunfeng Pavilion. That was because the Yunfeng Pavilion had a heavenly god. Out of all the powers in the chaotic astral river, only the Yunfeng Pavilion has a heavenly deity. Without a doubt, it is the number one power. Yunfeng City, where the Yunfeng Pavilion is located, is the most prosperous place in the chaotic astral river. Here, you can buy many things you want to buy. That's right. I'm also going to Cloud Peak City to buy some pills and prepare to break through to the next realm. We can go together, Tong Shi said. All right. Lu Ming nodded. He also wanted to go to Yunfeng City to sell a weapon that he could use. During this period of time, Lu Ming had been using the divine combat sword that Baya had given him. However, after using it for a long time, Lu Ming felt that the spear was more suitable for him. Although he had cultivated the battle formula and could use any weapon with ease, Lu Ming had just started cultivating and he had already started using a spear. He was used to using a spear. Moreover, Baya's divine combat sword was only a level 3 low-grade divine weapon. It was still a little too low. Lu Ming wanted to buy a spear of a higher level. He had asked around in the righteous army, but he couldn't find a suitable one. The two of them stepped into the Jingtian army's teleportation formation and headed toward Yunfeng City. True Sky Star was very far away from Cloud Peak Star, where Cloud Peak City was located. To cross the boundless starry sky, even if one took a teleportation array, it was impossible to reach it in one go. Instead, one would need to teleport multiple times. Furthermore, it was such a long sea teleportation. Even if they took the teleportation array, it would still take a long time. After 3 days of continuous teleportation, they finally arrived at Yunfeng City. What a majestic city! Walking around the streets of Yunfeng City, Lu Ming could not help but sigh. Only after coming to the primeval universe did Lu Ming feel that the heaven realm and the primordial realm were too small. The surface area of the dark underworld star was equivalent to the sum of tens of thousands of heaven realm, primordial realm, and evil god realms. The true heaven star was several times larger than the dark underworld star. However, the Cloud Peak planet, where Cloud Peak City was located, was at least dozens of times larger than the true sky planet. Compared to planet Yunfeng, the Heaven Realm, the Primordial Realm, and the Evil God Realm were simply dust. Just the area of Yunfeng City alone was estimated to be equivalent to the total area of hundreds of Heaven Realm, Primordial Realm, and Evil God Realms combined. One could imagine how huge it was. Cloud Peak City was extremely lively. All the powers of the chaotic astral river, big and small, could come here. Chaotic astral river is extremely chaotic. Killing can be seen everywhere, but Cloud Peak City is an exception. The Yunfeng Pavilion had a rule. Yunfeng City was a place for business, and killing was not allowed. If one wanted to kill, they had to go to a specific fighting stage. Whoever violated the rule would be hunted down by the Yunfeng Pavilion. As such, Cloud Peak City was extremely safe. This was the only way to attract countless people to do business, trade, buy treasures, or sell treasures. If it wasn't safe, they could kill him and steal his treasures at any time. Who would dare to come? Therefore, the two of them were more at ease and walked around casually. 2 days later, the two of them arrived at the largest city square in Yunfeng City. There was a sea of people here, and there were all kinds of shops. There were all kinds of materials, elixirs, weapons, and treasures. There were even divine skills for sale. Lu Ming went in to take a look. The price was shockingly high. Lu Ming could not afford even the lowest grade level 1 divine skill. It would cost at least tens of thousands of divine crystals. At a divine elixir store, Tong Shi-er bought the divine elixirs she needed. She had already ACCU, Mulat enough, and when she returned, she could break through to the second level of the Void God Realm. Then they came to a shop that sold artifacts. "Dear customer, may I know what you need?" Immediately, a beautiful young lady came up to him. "Hello, I need to buy a spear-type artifact." Lu Ming smiled. "A spear-type divine weapon? What level do you need? I can recommend it to you." The young woman said with a smile. "A level 5 low-grade god equipment or above." Lu Ming said. "All right, please follow me." The young woman brought Lu Ming to a room. There were all kinds of long spears and divine artifacts hanging in the room. This is a level 5 low-grade god artifact, Hurricane Spear. It's worth 3,000 god crystals. This is a low-grade level 6 god artifact, the Raging Flame Spear. It's priced at 7,000 god crystals. The lady introduced them to Lu Ming one by one. What an expensive price. Lu Ming sighed. And NBSP, a level 5 low-quality god artifact, cost 3,000 god crystals. Low-grade divine weapons corresponded to Ethereal God Realm. Usually, Ethereal God Realm warriors would use low-grade divine weapons while True God Realm warriors would use middle-grade divine weapons. And NBSP and so on, the Divine Kings used supreme-quality divine artifacts. One had to know that on the Myriad Gold Star, a 5th-level Void God Realm Beast Core was only worth 80 divine crystals. And NBSP, a low-level 5 God Artifact Spear, on the other hand, would cost 3,000 God crystals. Of course, refining a divine weapon required more than one type of material. It required the combination of many materials and the cost of the refining. In the end, Lu Ming chose a spear that was a level 6 low-grade divine artifact, the Meteor Spear, and spent 7,000 divine crystals on it. There aren't enough divine crystals. Lu Ming sighed. Previously, when he broke through to the 4-star Heavenly Emperor realm, he had used about 5,000 divine crystals. Now, he had spent another 7,000 divine crystals. Now, he only had 28,000 divine crystals left. Chapter 2599 Meeting Kong Long again, miss. Do you sell fragments of divine artifacts here? Lu Ming put away the Meteor Spear and asked again. Of course I do. What level of divine artifact fragment do you need? Different levels of fragments of divine artifacts have different prices. The young woman said. A fragment of a low-grade divine artifact. Any grade will do. Lu Ming said. Then, under the young lattice introduction, Lu Ming bought a large number of divine artifact fragments. As expected of Cloud Peak City, there were many divine artifact fragments here. It could be said that they were piled up like a mountain. Moreover, the price was indeed cheap. Not to mention divine artifacts, even compared to the materials used for forging artifacts, it was much cheaper. Lu Ming gritted his teeth and spent another 10,000 divine crystals to buy a large pile of refining materials of various levels. It was enough for Qiu Qiu to eat for a period of time. Lu Ming's divine crystals had shrunk again. He only had 18,000 pieces left. I need to find a way to earn some divine crystals. Lu Ming muttered. 18,000 divine crystals weren't enough for him. As his cultivation increased, he would need more divine crystals to break through in the future. The two of them had bought everything they needed. They walked out of the shop and planned to take the teleportation array back. Tong Shi and you kid? Suddenly, an ear-piercing voice filled with resentment rang out. Lu Ming turned around and could not help but sneer. What a coincidence, he met an old acquaintance. Behind them were two young men. One of them was the young master of the Yuanluo Palace, Kong Long. Kong Long was glaring at Lu Ming with hatred. Back then, he was captured by Lu Ming and later handed over to the Righteous Sky Army as a hostage in exchange. He regarded this matter as a great humiliation. He hated Lu Ming to the core and always wanted to take revenge on Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming was hiding in the Righteous Army and he had no choice. He did not expect to meet him in Yunfeng City. Kong Long Sidu Shao. Tong Xier's eyes flashed as she recognized the two of them. Brat, I'll tear you into pieces sooner or later. Kong Long's eyes were cold and filled with killing intent. He glared at Lu Ming. If it were not for the fact that they were in Yunfeng City and killing was forbidden, he would have crushed Lu Ming's bones and scattered his ashes long ago. A defeated opponent dares to talk big here. Who doesn't know how to brag? Lu Ming cast a sidelong glance at Kong Long, his eyes filled with contempt. You. At the thought of being captured and imprisoned by Lu Ming for months, Kong Long was furious. He gritted his teeth and looked at Lu Ming's disdainful expression. He wanted to slap Lu Ming to death. Boom! A powerful aura burst out from Kong Long's body and pressed down on Lu Ming. First-level Void God Realm. It was obvious that Kong Long had made a breakthrough from demigod level to virtual god level. The commotion here attracted the attention of the passers-by, who looked over as if they were watching a show. If you want to fight, come. Lu Ming curled his finger. He did not believe that Kong Long would dare to make a move in Yunfeng City. If he did, he would be courting death. Kid, I challenge you now. Let's fight on the fighting ring. Kong Long glared at Lu Ming. I'm not interested in a defeated opponent. Lu Ming pursed his lips. Kong Long was so angry that he almost exploded. Taking a few deep breaths, Kong Long managed to calm himself down and said, "You're the one who doesn't dare." Back then, he felt that he had been too careless when he lost to Lu Ming. Moreover, he had now broken through to first-tier Void God level and his combat strength had increased tremendously. He was fully confident that he could easily suppress Lu Ming. You don't have to provoke me. I'm really not interested in my defeated opponent. If there's nothing else, don't block the way. Lu Ming waved his hands casually. He was speaking the truth. Kong Long was only at the first level of the Void God realm. He could easily suppress him. He was not interested. However, Lu Ming kept calling him a defeated opponent. To Kong Long, it was the greatest insult to him. His face was red, and he gritted his teeth. If you don't want to fight with Brother Kong, then he'll challenge you. Do you dare to fight? The young man beside Kong Long spoke. The man's face was fair and clean, and he was waving a folding fan in his hand. He always had a confident smile on his face. Lu Ming, this man is the young sect master of the Walkabout sect, Sidu Shao. He's at the second level of the Void God realm. Tong Shi sent a voice transmission to Lu Ming. The Walkabout sect was a force that was as powerful as the Yuanluo Palace and the Righteous Army. You want to challenge me? Lu Ming looked at Sidu Shao. That's right, do you dare? If you don't dare, I won't make things difficult for you. Sidu Shao said with a fake smile. To be honest, I'm not interested in you at all. With your cultivation, I can easily suppress you. Lu Ming pursed his lips. Sidu Shao's eyelids kept twitching, and the folding fan that he had been fanning also stopped. A wisp of cold killing intent burst out from his eyes. Lu Ming actually said that he could suppress him with a flip of his hand? It was simply a huge joke. He could clearly feel that Lu Ming was only at the transformation void martial stage. A transformation void martial stage actually dared to speak so arrogantly. He was simply courting death. However, if you dare to make a bet with me, I can fight you. Lu Ming paused for a moment before he continued. Bet? How do we bet? Situ Xiao said. Well, bet 20,000 divine crystals. Well, each take out 20,000 divine crystals. Whoever wins will take the others 20,000 divine crystals. How about it? Lu Ming said. 20,000 divine crystals. Situ Xiao's expression changed slightly. 20,000 yuan was not a small amount. What, you don't dare to bet? Then forget it. Lu Ming had a look of contempt on his face. He turned around and was about to leave. I'll bet 20,000 yuan. Situ Xiao said. He didn't think he would lose, so he agreed. All right, then let's go to the battle stage. Lu Ming said. Immediately, Lu Ming, Tong Shi, Kong Long, and Situ Xiao went to the nearby fighting ring. Let's go and take a look. That young man is only at the transformation void martial stage, but he dares to challenge a second-level ethereal god realm heaven's favorite. Interesting. The people nearby followed Lu Ming and the rest. Soon, they arrived at a nearby fighting ring. The fighting ring was surrounded by people. Take out 20,000 divine crystals. I need a middleman to make sure you don't go back on your word. Lu Ming looked at Situ Xiao. How can I lose? What a joke. Situ Xiao sneered. That's hard to say. How do you know if you haven't fought? Lu Ming smiled faintly and looked around. Which senior can be the middleman? This old man will do it. A silver-haired old man walked out, and he gave off a powerful aura. 9th level void god realm. On the side, many people's expressions changed. In the chaotic astral river, those at the true god realm were definitely experts. Those at the 9th level of the void god realm were the backbone of many forces. All right, thank you, senior. Lu Ming Pas said a storage ring to the silver-haired elder. There were 20,000 divine crystals in it. Lu Ming's original divine crystals were not enough for 20,000 pieces. On the way, he borrowed 2,000 more from Tong Shi. Chapter 2600. Kneel down. Oof, that's good too. Situ Xiao snorted and took out a storage ring as well, handing it over to the silver-haired old man. The silver-haired old man scanned the area with his spiritual sense and then said, 20,000 divine crystals each. There's no mistake. Whoever wins will get these divine crystals. Kid, come on stage. Situ Xiao said coldly as he stepped onto the fighting ring. Lu Ming also flew onto the platform and stood opposite Situ Xiao. That young man is only at the transformation void martial stage, but he actually dared to fight against a second-level void god stage existence. Could it be that he has something to rely on? I can't figure it out. The difference between the transformation void martial stage and the ethereal god realm is too big. Even the Heaven's Pride experts can't cross such a big realm to challenge someone. His opponent is Situ Xiao. I've heard of him before. He's also a Heaven's favorite who has mastered king-grade divine power. In that case, that young man is bound to lose? I don't know. I can't figure it out either. Let's see. Many people in the surroundings were discussing. However, most of them felt that Lu Ming was definitely not his match. After all, the void transformation realm was only the first step of cultivation, while the virtual god realm was the second step. Only one step away, but the difference was like the difference between heaven and earth. Only those heaven-defying geniuses could possibly cross the gap. However, how could a small place like the chaotic astral river have such a heaven's favorite? However, there was also a group of people who felt that Lu Ming was very confident. Since he dared to accept the challenge, he should have something to rely on. They were very curious about what exactly Lu Ming was relying on. Everyone was staring at the two people on the fighting ring. Kid, it'll make you kneel in 3 moves. A thick killing intent flashed in Situ Xiao's eyes. His figure flashed and he appeared in front of Lu Ming like a flash of light. He raised one hand and pressed down. Divine power whistled and pressed down on Lu Ming like Mount Tai. He wanted to force Lu Ming to his knees on the spot. Situ Xiao was very confident. He was a heaven's favorite and had king-grade divine power. He was much stronger than other experts of the same level. Even second-level Void God Realm experts couldn't withstand this move. However, Lu Ming's expression did not change at all. He pointed his fingers like a sword and stabbed them towards Situ Xiao's palm. "You're looking for death? Then I'll break your fingers." Situ Xiao grinned hideously and increased his strength. Bang! Lu Ming's finger and Situ Xiao's palm collided with each other, creating a violent boom. A figure was forced to take 5 or 6 steps back before he could regain his balance. The one who retreated was naturally Situ Xiao. How is that possible? Many people in the surroundings were shocked. Lu Ming had actually forced Situ Xiao to retreat with one move. This was beyond everyone's expectations. A transformation Void Martial stage forced back a second-level Void God stage Heaven's favorite with one move. This was simply unbelievable. I think Situ Xiao underestimated his opponent and didn't use his full strength. But this is still extremely shocking. Someone sighed. At this moment, Situ Xiao was also shocked. There was a sharp pain in his palm where Lu Ming's finger had pierced. He had indeed underestimated his opponent just now and had only used 70% of his power. However, it was still extremely shocking. One had to know that he controlled king-grade divine power. This kid is a monster. I'll cripple him today. Situ Xiao roared in his heart. He unleashed all his strength and charged toward Lu Ming. Good. Lu Ming was not afraid at all. He burst out with all his might as well. His entire body was covered in a dazzling purple-gold radiance as he charged towards Situ Xiao. Boom, boom, boom. The two of them continued to clash and fought fiercely. For a moment, it was difficult to determine the winner. Although Situ Xiao was only at the second level of the Void God realm, his divine power was king-grade divine power. It was very dense and condensed, and his attack power was very strong. His strength was enough to fight against an existence at the third level of the Void God realm. On the other hand, Lu Ming had the cultivation base of a 4-star heavenly emperor. Without activating the battle character formula that doubled his combat strength, he could also fight with a third-level Void God realm existence. Therefore, it was difficult to determine the winner between the two of them. It seems like even king-grade divine power has a difference in strength. As they fought, Lu Ming was thinking, Tong Shi also controlled king-grade divine power. However, Lu Ming felt that if they were at the same level, Tong Shi would be stronger than Situ Xiao. There were also strong and weak king-grade divine powers. Bang, bang, bang. The two of them exchanged dozens of moves, but it was still difficult to determine the winner. How is that possible? How can he be this strong? Situ Xiao roared in his heart. At this moment, he was a little anxious. He did not want Lu Ming to kneel now. He was thinking about how to win. Otherwise, he would lose 20,000 divine crystals. Below the fighting ring, the most shocked person was Kong Long. His face was as white as snow, without a trace of blood, and he kept muttering, "How is that possible? How could this kid be so strong? Damn it, damn it." At the same time, he felt a lingering fear. Fortunately, Lu Ming did not agree to fight with him. Otherwise, he would have been defeated miserably. I hope Situ Xiao can defeat him. Kong Long prayed in his heart. Unfortunately, his wish was destined to come to nothing. Is this all you've got? Then let's end this. Lu Ming's voice was heard. At the same time, his strength suddenly soared. The double combat power of the battle formula was activated. After activating the doubling of combat strength, Lu Ming's combat strength was enough to fight with a 4th-level Void God realm existence. How could Situ Xiao be a match for him? Boom! Lu Ming threw a punch, and the terrifying force of his fist crushed toward Situ Xiao with the force of a mountain. Kacha! Situ Xiao's arm was broken by Lu Ming's fist force. He retreated rapidly and spat out large mouthfuls of blood. Bang! Lu Ming took a step forward and continued to attack. Situ Xiao took out a divine weapon to counterattack, but he was sent flying by Lu Ming with a few moves. Kneel down. Lu Ming shouted coldly. He raised his hand and pressed down. The power of domination condensed into a huge palm and pressed down on Situ Xiao. Situ Xiao roared and mustered all his strength to resist. However, he was no match for Lu Ming and could not withstand his power. Boom! The powerful force acted on Situ Xiao's body. His body arched and with a final thud, he knelt on the ground in front of Lu Ming. Ah! Situ Xiao roared madly. He was the young master of the Walkabout sect, and yet he was kneeling in front of Lu Ming. He was so mad with hatred that he wanted to grind Lu Ming's bones and scatter his ashes. What are you shouting for? A loss is a loss, what's the use of shouting? Lu Ming berated him. With a wave of his palm, Situ Xiao's body flew out of the fighting ring. He spat out a mouthful of blood and could not get up for a long time. Lu Ming did not kill Situ Xiao as it was unnecessary. And if he really killed Situ Xiao, free and unfettered sect would probably go crazy and attack the righteous army with all their might, which would be disadvantageous to them. He lost. Situ Xiao actually lost. A transformation void martial artist can actually defeat a second-level void god realm heaven's favorite. How is this possible? The power of a ruler. It's the power of a ruler. He controls the power of a ruler. What? It's the power of a ruler. No wonder. The scene was noisy. Many people recognized Lu Ming's power. It was the power of domination. Chapter 2601 Dandan, Bubble's origin. Once the chief sovereign's power was transformed into divine power, it would become the chief sovereign's divine power. This was a divine-grade divine power. Even in the vast primal universe, it was a very rare divine power. The chaotic astral river had never appeared before. Now, someone could actually control the power of a ruler. No wonder he's so terrifying. He could defeat an empty god when he's only at the transformation void martial stage. It's too shocking. It's the power of a ruler. Which force is this monster from? It's a pity that his cultivation is too low. Otherwise, he would be terrifying. Many people looked at Lu Ming in shock. I've still been recognized. Lu Ming himself was somewhat speechless. When he made his move just now, he had already done some tricks and concealed his power, but people still recognized his power of domination. The main thing was that once the ruler's power was used, its characteristics were too obvious, and it would be easy to be recognized. It seems that I still have to find a way to hide the characteristics of the power of domination. Otherwise, it'll be recognized as soon as I make a move in the future. I'll be too eye-catching. Lu Ming pondered in his heart. It was not a good thing to attract too much attention before one was too strong. Sometimes, it would even attract a fatal disaster. Senior, I won. Lu Ming walked toward the silver-haired old man. Little brother is truly a peerless genius. If there's a chance, this old man will treat you to a drink. The silver-haired elder smiled and took out 2 storage rings. Pass. Sing them to Lu Ming. Lu Ming took it and put it away. He smiled. I still have something to do. If there's a chance in the future, I'll definitely treat you to a drink. After exchanging some pleasantries, Lu Ming and Tong Shi left the place together. Lu Ming, I'll definitely get my revenge. Below the fighting ring, Situ Xiao struggled to get up. He looked in the direction where Lu Ming had left, his face ashen and full of resentment. Lu Ming and Tong Shi did not stop. They arrived at the teleportation array in Yunfeng City and headed towards True Sky Star. A few days later, Lu Ming returned to the True Heaven Star. This time, he won 20,000 divine crystals from Situ Xiao. Lu Ming was in a great mood. This trip to Yunfeng City had not been in vain. Lu Ming now had 38,000 divine crystals, a few thousand more than before. Back at his residence, Lu Ming took out a pile of divine artifact fragments and gave them to Qiu to eat. Qiu was instantly extremely excited. It hugged a large pile of divine artifact fragments and ate them happily. At this moment, Lu Ming looked in one direction. There was a powerful aura coming from that direction. A giant turtle appeared in the void, and countless runes filled the air. Dan, Lu Ming muttered. He took a step forward and appeared above a mansion in the city. This mansion used to be Dandan's residence. Dandan was trying to break through to the martial god realm. It had been in seclusion all these years since it came to the desolate universe, and it had finally begun to try to break through to the martial god realm. Brother Lu Ming. A figure flashed and Bubbles appeared beside Lu Ming. She grabbed Lu Ming's hand and shook it vigorously. It had been a while since they last met, and Bubbles' cultivation base had improved significantly. She was now a peak heavenly emperor. Needless to say, Bubbles' talent was definitely top-notch. Moreover, the cultivation environment in the primeval universe was too good. In addition, Lu Ming had given her some resources. It was normal for her cultivation to improve by leaps and bounds. However, even after so many years, Bubbles still looked like she was 6 or 7 years old. Her growth rate was shockingly slow. Buzz and NBSP whoosh. Many figures appeared nearby, all attracted by Danden's breakthrough. That old turtle actually broke through faster than us. The Tan longhorn beetle sighed. Ching Tsong, the 9 lives devilish silkworm, and the others sighed. They had broken through to the demigod realm at about the same time as Danden, but now, they were still some distance away from the martial god realm. On the other hand, Danden had already broken through. Boom. The aura in Danden's mansion became stronger. A huge turtle figure was suspended in the air. Endless energy between heaven and earth gathered towards Danden. This guy's breakthrough really caused a huge commotion. Lu Ming's gaze flickered. Although it wasn't as loud as Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjin's breakthrough, it was much more intense than the others. The divine turtle of the world came from the primeval universe. It's indeed extraordinary. At this time, the ancestral dragon also appeared not far away. The divine turtle of the world came from the primal universe? Lu Ming was puzzled. The Tan longhorn beetle, 9 lives devilish silkworm, Ching Tsong, and the others also looked at the ancestral dragon curiously. They didn't know this. Not bad. Zhu Long nodded. Back then, the top 10 war beasts of the heaven realm were mostly mutations of various divine beast races. They had unique talents, but there were also a few that came from the primal universe. The world turtle was one of them. The other one is this little guy. The ancestral dragon looked at Bubbles. Bubbles, are you also from the desolate universe? Lu Ming muttered. Other than these two, the saint spirit ants also come from the primeval universe. Unfortunately, they died in the ancient war. The ancestral dragon sighed. At this moment, Danden's aura was even more shocking. Like a black hole, she was madly absorbing the divine qi outside. You don't have enough divine qi, go. Lu Ming could tell at a glance that Danden was breaking through. It was not enough to absorb the divine qi from the outside. He waved his hand and 3,000 divine crystals flew out toward Danden. The divine crystal shattered and turned into divine qi that was absorbed by Danden. After absorbing these divine crystals, Danden's aura reached its peak, and then it converged again. Haha, I've broken through and finally reached the martial god realm. A savage voice came out and soared into the sky. The divine power in his body shook, and he was insufferably arrogant. He felt that he was filled with an incomparably strong power that seemed to be inexhaustible. He swept his gaze and saw Lu Ming and the rest. Lu Ming, come. Let's have a match. I want be Serpa. Sabai, I'll let you know how powerful I am. Danden shouted arrogantly. Oh sure. Lu Ming grinned, stepped into the air, and slapped him. A large purple gold hand formed and pressed down on Danden. Ah, Lu Ming, you. As soon as Lu Ming made his move, Danden's expression changed. She tried her best to resist, but it was useless. Under the big hand, Danden fell to the ground like a meteorite, stirring up dust. Ah, Lu Ming, you tricked me. The next moment, Danden rushed out with a dejected face, looking as miserable as she could be. Ah, the Tan Longhorn and the others laughed so hard that they were bent over, tears flowing down their faces. You were the one who wanted to challenge me. Lu Ming had an innocent look. You're a pervert. Danden held back for a long time before she managed to hold back this sentence. He had thought that after his breakthrough, his combat strength had increased tremendously and the divine power he controlled was extraordinary. He thought that he could compete with Lu Ming. Now, it seemed that he was wrong. He made up his mind that in the future, unless he was very confident, he would never challenge Lu Ming. Old Turtle, you're breaking through to the martial god realm. Aren't you going to treat us to a drink? Let's go and drink some wine. Xingkeng, the Tanos, and the others dragged Dandan away and asked her to treat them to a drink. As the people from the heaven realm became stronger and stronger, everyone's mood became more relaxed. Chapter 2602 Northern Shang Planet. When he returned to his residence, he saw that Qiuqiu was still hugging a pile of divine artifact fragments and gnawing on them. The material of the divine artifact fragments was no small matter, so Qiuqiu naturally didn't digest them so quickly. Moreover, it would stop to digest every piece it ate. Lu Ming did not bother with Qiuqiu and cultivated alone at the side. In the blink of an eye, half a year passed. Qiuqiu devoured all the divine artifact fragments that Lu Ming had bought. It finally evolved again and its cultivation advanced to the 3rd level of the Void God realm. However, Lu Ming did not have any divine artifact fragments for it. He could only give some ordinary metal attribute crafting materials to Qiuqiu to eat while Lu Ming continued to comprehend and cultivate. Just like that, 5 years passed, said in the blink of an eye. After 5 years of hard work, Lu Ming had made great progress in all aspects. His cultivation had improved again, and he had become a 5-star heavenly emperor. Of course, he had also used more than 10,000 divine crystals. In addition, his understanding of the battle symbol art was getting deeper and deeper. Now, when he used the battle symbol art, it increased his attack power more and more. Furthermore, the chances of triggering the double combat strength were getting higher and higher. On average, it only took 2 tries to trigger it. However, he seemed to have reached a bottleneck in his cultivation of the battle character formula. It had been a while since Lu Ming had made any progress. Just bitter cultivation isn't enough. I still need to go out and take risks to temper myself. Lu Ming ended his cultivation and pondered in his heart. And NBSP, if he didn't encounter a bottleneck, then he could just cultivate quietly. But once he did, the effect wouldn't be great. He needed to fight to gain inspiration and break through. This was also the reason why many people would often go out and adventure. Not only could they obtain opportunities, but they could also temper themselves and break through bottlenecks. Let's go to the righteous army and take a look. Lu Ming walked out and headed toward the righteous army. When they arrived at the righteous army headquarters, no one stopped them. Although Lu Ming and the rest had not officially joined the righteous army, the righteous army had already treated them as a part of it. 8:13 When they arrived at the righteous army headquarters, no one stopped them. Although Lu Ming and the rest had not officially joined the righteous army had already treated them as a part of it. There was a mission hall in the righteous army headquarters. In fact, most of the forces would have this kind of mission palace. Senior, is there anyone suitable for ethereal god realm? Lu Ming went to a counter and asked a white-haired elder. The biggest and most frequent mission recently is naturally the battle with the Yuan Luo Palace and the Carefree Sect. The white-haired old man said. The Yuan Luo Palace and the Carefree Sect? Lu Ming frowned slightly. That's right. In the past few years, the Yuan Luo Palace and the Walkabout Sect have joined forces to attack some of the vital planets controlled by our righteous army. Our righteous army has also been sending experts to fight the 2 sides. Anyone who kills the Yuan Luo Palace and the Walkabout Sect will be rewarded. The white-haired old man said. The Yuan Luo Palace and the Walkabout Sect are working together? Is it because I beat up that Situ Shao last time? Lu Ming could not help but think this way. That Walkabout Sect has long wanted to join forces with the Yuan Luo Palace to deal with my righteous army. Now, they've finally made their move. Little guy, do you want to take this mission? If you take this mission, it'll help you register. The white-haired old man asked. All right, then I'll accept this mission. Lu Ming nodded. It seemed that the 2 sides did not attack him because he had beaten up Situ Shao. Instead, the Origin Luo Palace and the Walkabout Sect had planned to join forces for a long time. Very soon, the old man completed the procedures for Lu Ming. I've helped you register. Many people have accepted this mission recently. Come here tomorrow morning and meet up with the others. Well set off for the northern merchant planet together. The white-haired elder gave Lu Ming a black iron token. Lu Ming took it and left the place. A day passed, said in the blink of an eye. The next morning, Lu Ming returned to the missions hall. Those who are on a mission to North Merchant Planet, meet here. The moment Lu Ming arrived, he heard someone shouting in the missions hall. Lu Ming walked over. Brother, are you going to North Merchant Planet for a mission? The burly man looked at Lu Ming. Yes, I am. Lu Ming took out the black iron token. Alright, then we'll wait here for now. When most of the people are here, we'll set off. The burly man said. Lu Ming nodded and walked to the side. As time passed, more and more people gathered. Half an hour later, more than 200 people had gathered there. They were all going to North Shang Planet to carry out missions. All of them were at the Void God realm. Alright, we're almost there. Let's go. The burly man said. Everyone headed towards the teleportation array. One teleportation array couldn't teleport so many people at once, so they had to take turns. Groups of people went up and stepped into the teleportation array, disappearing into it. Soon, it was Lu Ming's turn. He stepped into the teleportation array and appeared on a flat ground. This place is an island. As soon as he appeared, Lu Ming could hear the sound of waves crashing from all directions. There was also a salty sea breeze blowing, making him feel refreshed. Lu Ming rose into the air and looked around. He realized that he was indeed on an island. The island was not big and he could see the boundless ocean at a glance. Soon, everyone had said through the teleportation array. Follow me. We'll head to 7-Star Island first before we assign you your tasks. Also, I'll explain the current situation on the northern merchant planet to you on the way. The burly man said. Everyone followed the burly man and flew out of the island, flying towards the vast sea. The big man's name was Pan Jiang. He had always been stationed on planet North Shang. This time, he had come specifically to pick them up. On the way, Pan Jiang explained the current situation on North Business Planet. The situation on the Northern Shang Planet was a bit special. It was located on the border between the Righteous Heaven Army and the Origin Hall, so it had become a place that the two forces had to fight for. Thus, half of the planet was occupied by the Righteous Army and half by the Origin Hall. The Northern Shang continent and ocean each took up 50% of the planet's surface area. The Righteous Heaven Army occupied the Northern Shang's ocean and ocean islands to develop the resources there. As for the Origin Luo Hall, they occupied a portion of the Northern Shang planet's land and exploited all the resources there. The two sides often fought each other, and there would often be experts from the Righteous Sky Army who would secretly enter the Northern Shang planet to kill people from the Yuan Luo Palace and seize the resources. Or, there were people from the Yuan Luo Palace who sneaked into the islands to kill the experts of the Righteous Army. In short, the two sides had never stopped killing each other. However, in the past 2 years, the Yuan Luo Palace had invested more forces on the North Shang planet, and the killing between the two sides had become more frequent. The Righteous Heaven Army had also been increasing the strength of the Northern Shang planet. The 7-Star Island was the Righteous Sky Army's headquarters on the Northern Shang planet. After flying across the vast ocean, they said by many islands. 3 days later, they finally arrived at 7-Star Island. The 7-Star Island was huge. Although it was called an island, it was actually no different from a continent. At least, in Lu Ming's opinion, the area of the 7-Star Island was definitely not smaller than the Great Pure Heaven in the Heaven Realm. People were coming and going on the 7-Star Island. There were a lot of them and they were all experts. At first glance, there were no less than several thousand of them, and all of them were at the ethereal God realm. Lu Ming was secretly shocked. It was only 7-Star Island and there were already so many experts. One could imagine the strength of the entire Righteous Army. Chapter 26:03 Evil God Race? Three-Eyed Race. One had to know that the Righteous Heaven Army had occupied more than a dozen life planets. There were still some planets that had no living beings, but there were experts guarding them and mining resources. How many virtual God-level powerhouses were there in the entire Righteous Army? There were probably no less than tens of thousands of them. and in the entire chaotic astral river, there are at least 800, if not 1,000, forces that are not weaker or stronger than the righteous heavenly army. It was simply difficult to count how many Void God Realm experts there were in the entire chaotic astral river. No wonder the primeval universe was also known as the Divine Realm, the world of deities. They stopped at an open sea on 7-Star Island. "You guys wait for me here. I'll go ask where we're going to be stationed." After saying that, Pan Jiang flew into a large hall. Not long after, Pan Jiang came out of the main hall and said, "The island we are going to guard is Qinjin Island. Follow me." Pan Jiang took the lead and flew in one direction, followed by the others. On the way, Pan Jiang explained the situation of Qingdao. Qinjin Island was located to the north of 7-Star Island. It was an island with a mineral vein. On the island, there was a large aged gold mine. Qinjin was a metal used for refining weapons. Although it was not very precious or rare, it had a wide range of uses. Usually, a part of Qinjin would be added to the forging of low-grade divine weapons as an auxiliary material to increase the toughness of the divine weapon. Therefore, Qinjindao would often be attacked by the Yuanluo Palace. Qinjindao originally had 600 empty god realm experts, but now, it was getting harder and harder to defend, so he needed more help. They were the reinforcements for Qinjindao. A day later, they arrived at Qinjing Island. Golden Island wasn't very big. There was a large mine vein on it, surrounded by many caves. Each cave was guarded by ethereal god realm experts. There were tens of thousands of creatures below the ethereal god realm in the mine. They were mining day and night. When Lu Ming and the rest arrived, there were naturally people to receive them and assign them cave abodes. Very soon, Lu Ming was assigned to a cave abode. The cave abode was quite serious and it was quite rich in divine qi. Lu Ming was just about to sit down and rest. Thump, thump, thump. Outside, the sound of war drums could be heard. Enemy attack, enemy attack. Roars reverberated throughout the entire island. What a coincidence! Lu Ming was a little speechless. They had just arrived and they were attacked. Without much time to think, Lu Ming dashed out of the cave abode in a flash. Boom, 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 whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Deafening rumbles came from the sky above the island. The glints of blades and swords lit up the sky. Divine power of all colors collided in the air. Many people were already fighting fiercely. Kill! Lu Ming soared into the sky and charged at a burly man with wide fangs. Each of them had a black metal token with them. The black metal token was both a mission token and an ident. 1. Tai token. It was bound to their life aura, and once they died, the black metal token would shatter. They could distinguish each other's ident. 1. Tai through the aura emitted by the black metal token. This way, it would be easy to tell if they were from the Yuanluo Palace. Kid, you are only at the transformation void martial stage, and you dare to fight with me. I will eat you. The burly man with wide fangs had a murderous look in his eyes. He charged at Lu Ming and slashed with his saber. His aura was not weak. He had a cultivation base of 2nd-level Void God Realm. Boom. Lu Ming immediately activated the double combat power of the battle formula. At the same time, he took out the meteor spear and stabbed. The meteor spear seemed to have turned into a real meteor. It flashed and then disappeared. The brows of the big man with wide mouth and fangs were directly pierced through, and he died on the spot. Kill! Lu Ming wielded his meteor spear and charged at another Yuanluo Palace expert. That expert was at 3rd-level Void God Realm, but he was still unable to block Lu Ming's spear and was stabbed to death. Now, Lu Ming's cultivation level had broken through to 5-star Heavenly Emperor, and his combat strength had increased by another level. When Lu Ming was a 4-star Celestial the Arch, he could fight against a 4th-level Void God-level powerhouse with the double combat power of the battle formula. Now, with Lu Ming's cultivation and the double combat power of the battle formula, he could kill a 4th-tier Void God-level powerhouse. Of course, he might not be a match for a 5th-level Void God Realm powerhouse. The main thing was that the gap between each level of cultivation in the Heavenly Emperor realm was not as large as the gap between each level in the Void God realm. If he wanted to fight against a 5th-level Void God level existence, Lu Ming would probably need to break through to the 6-star Heavenly Emperor realm. Brat, you're looking for death. Seeing that Lu Ming had killed 2 people in a row, a burly man with purple skin fixed his eyes on Lu Ming and charged toward him. Sila. This purple-skinned burly man was using a pair of halberds. When he waved them, the power was terrifying. Peak of the 4th level of the Void God realm, good. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He waved his meteor spear and charged over. The long spear vibrated and a dazzling spear radiance burst out, clashing with the purple-skinned burly man. Clang, clang. The 2 of them clashed madly and exchanged dozens of moves in the blink of an eye. The purple-skinned burly man could not withstand the attack and was suppressed by Lu Ming. He retreated continuously. How is that possible? The purple-skinned man was extremely shocked. Lu Ming only had the cultivation of the transformation void martial stage. How could he have such strong combat strength? He was at the peak of the 4th level Void God realm, yet he was not Lu Ming's match and was suppressed by Lu Ming. It was simply like a fantasy story. The purple-skinned burly man burst out in a frenzy, waving his halberd wildly as he fought Lu Ming. Not enough, not strong enough. Lu Ming muttered in his heart. He did not stop his spear, forcing the other party to retreat. An existence at the 4th level of the Void God realm couldn't give him too much pressure, so it was limited in his training. Bang! After a few more moves, the other party was whipped by Lu Ming's long spear. His body retreated rapidly and he spat out large mouthfuls of blood. Die! Lu Ming said coldly. He thrust his spear at the purple-skinned burly man's glabella at an unbelievable speed. Not good. The purple-skinned burly man was shocked and retreated frantically. However, his retreating speed could not keep up with Lu Ming's retreating speed. Buzz. At this moment, a snow-white saber light flashed past. It was extremely fast and accurately cut Lu Ming's long spear. Buzz. The long spear trembled violently and a terrifying blade force followed Lu Ming's long spear and rushed towards his arm. Lu Ming felt a sharp pain in his palm as if it was about to be cut. Lu Ming had to release his power of domination to block the saber force. In the next moment, a skinny old man with purple hair appeared in front of the purple-skinned man. He had 3 eyes on his forehead. Evil God tribe. Lu Ming was shocked. This old man was very similar to the evil god race of the evil god world. It was very likely that he was from the same race as the non-human divine ancestor. Lu Ming had read up on a lot of information in the Righteous Army and knew that there was a race called the Three-Eyed Race in the primeval universe. The evil god race most likely belonged to the Three-Eyed Race. Chapter 2604 Chio's might. This burly man was clearly a member of the Three-Eyed Race, but he was many times stronger than the non-human divine ancestor. 5th level Void God realm. Lu Ming muttered. The way of a ruler? Boy, it seems that you are the ant that escaped from that small kiliacosm. All my people in that small kiliacosm died in your hands. Today I will burn your bones and scatter your ashes. The three-eyed elder's eyes were cold as he stepped forward. Divine power surged and the saber in his hand trembled, forming a terrifying saber chi that pressed down on Lu Ming. Come on! Lu Ming's eyes were filled with a strong desire to fight. Only an expert at the 5th level of the Void God realm could give him such great pressure. In Lu Ming's body, the power of domination and the power of the world circulated crazily. The meteor spear glowed and raised his combat strength to the extreme. Kill! The Three-Eyed Race's old man roared. His battle blade was deathly white as it cut through the void. It was extremely fast as it charged towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming waved his long spear and welcomed the attack. Clang, clang, clang. In an instant, the two of them had exchanged more than 10 moves. Lu Ming could feel that the other party's saber force was like an avalanche, surging towards him in waves. It was shockingly powerful. The long spear trembled and Lu Ming's arm went numb. He was forced to retreat by this force. Impressive. 5th tier Void God Realm. Impressive indeed. I'm not his match. Lu Ming had a thought in his mind. Previously, he had estimated that he would not be a match for a 5th level Void God. Now that they had exchanged blows, he realized that the combat strength of a 5th level Void God was beyond his expectations. In the Void God realm, the span of each level was very large. The higher the level, the greater the span. However, this further ignited his battle intent. Lu Ming took a step in the air and his body became one with the spear. He turned into a spear ray and charged towards the three-eyed elder. This kid, the three-eyed race's old man's eyes flashed with a trace of shock. The killing intent in his heart became even more intense as he slashed out his saber towards Lu Ming. The two of them continued to fight. However, Lu Ming was no match for the three-eyed race's elder. He was being suppressed by the three-eyed race's elder and was forced to retreat continuously. However, Lu Ming's tenacity was shocking. He blocked the three-eyed race's elder with all his might. It was not easy for the other party to kill him. In the blink of an eye, the two of them exchanged dozens of moves. Satisfying, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Deep down, he was still a warmonger and desired to take risks and kill. At this moment, his blood was boiling once again. This kid is too terrifying. I must get rid of him. I must get rid of him. The more they fought, the more terrified the three-eyed race old man became. Lu Ming was too powerful. He was only at the transformation void martial stage, but he had such powerful combat strength. He had never even heard of him, let alone seen him. With such battle prowess, how terrifying would it be if he became a god? Quick, all of you attack together with me and kill this brat. The three-eyed god race messaged the surrounding experts of the Yuanluo Palace. At this moment, the entire Qin gold mine was in an intense battle. There were 600 to 700 people from the Yuanluo Palace who had come to ambush them. They were all Void God Realm experts, and they were locked in a fierce battle with the True Sky Army experts. There were many people fighting around Lu Ming and the three-eyed divine race elder. Naturally, some experts had noticed Lu Ming. Instantly, some of the Yuanluo Palace's experts shook off their opponents and rushed toward Lu Ming. The experts of the righteous army wanted to stop him, but they couldn't catch up. At that moment, at least 3 experts rushed toward Lu Ming. All 3 of them were at the 5th level of the Void God realm. Boom, boom, boom. The 3 5th level Void God level powerhouses attacked at the same time, including the purple-skinned burly man who was suppressed by Lu Ming earlier. With so many experts attacking at the same time, Lu Ming would definitely not be able to stop them. He would be killed instantly. Ball. Lu Ming waved his hand and the bracelet that he had been wearing on his wrist flew out. This bangle was naturally Qiuqiu's transformation. Qiuqiu flew out and expanded rapidly. Its body, which was like liquid metal, wriggled and turned into a huge shield, blocking in front of Lu Ming. Thump. Boom. A series of explosions rang out. All the attacks were blocked, but Lu Ming was completely fine. Then, Qiuqiu's body moved and turned into a metal ball with a diameter of 10 meters. It smashed toward the purple-skinned man. Pucci. The purple-skinned burly man's body was like a huge watermelon. Qiuqiu smashed it into pieces and he died on the spot. Now that Qiuqiu had advanced to the 3rd level of the Void God realm, its combat strength had skyrocketed. When Qiuqiu was at the 1st level of the Void God realm, it could already fight against a 4th level Void God realm existence. Now, it wouldn't be afraid even if it faced a 6th level Void God realm expert. The purple-skinned burly man was only at the 4th level of the Void God realm, so he naturally couldn't block Qiuqiu's attack. After killing the purple-skinned burly man, Qiuqiu's body bounced and smashed towards a 5th level Void God realm expert. Bang! That expert was directly sent flying, and he spat out a large mouthful of blood. What kind of monster is this? The others felt their blood run cold. This metal-like ball didn't look like a divine weapon, but it was shockingly powerful. A 5th level Void God realm existence was forced to spit out blood and retreat after being seriously injured by a single strike. Its power was too terrifying. Buzz. The metal ball then flew toward the three-eyed god race elder. Let's join hands, let's join hands. The old man from the three-eyed god race roared. He joined forces with the other 3 fifth-level Void God Realm experts and launched his strongest attack, which collided with Chiochio. Boom! After a violent explosion, the three-eyed god race elder and the 3 fifth-level ethereal god realm cultivators trembled violently. They were forced back and blood flowed from the corners of their mouths. Chiochio's current strength was comparable to a 6th-level Void God Realm. A 6th-level Void God Realm was much stronger than a 5th-level Void God Realm. Even if the three-eyed god race elder and the other 3 joined forces, they wouldn't be able to withstand Chiochio's attack. Chiochio, continue. Lu Ming called out to Chiochio. At the same time, he rushed over and attacked with all his might. He kept blasting out attacks, specifically targeting the injured 5th-level Nihility God Stage expert. Chiochio also rushed out and swelled into a metal ball with a diameter of 10 meters, constantly bombarding the other party. And at this moment, the experts of the Righteous Heaven Army had also arrived and were charging towards the three-eyed Celestial Race Elder and the others. And NBSP this way, there was no way they could block it. In an instant, the three-eyed God Race Elder and the other 3 were all injured, especially the one who had been struck by Chiochio. His injuries were even more severe. Chiochio, smash. Lu Ming sent a voice transmission to Chiochio. Boom. Chiochio stared at the injured existence and smashed it with all its might. The other party was already injured, so how could he block it? Half of his body exploded from the blow, and he almost died. How could Lu Ming miss such an opportunity? The meteor spear pierced out and killed the person completely. With a sweep of the power of domination, he put away the person's storage ring. Of course, Lu Ming also put away the divine weapon that the other party used. The other party was a 5th-level Void God Realm expert, so he must be rich. How could he miss this opportunity? Retreat, quickly retreat. The 3 from the three-eye race saw that one of them had been killed and were so scared that they didn't dare to fight anymore. They quickly retreated. Chapter 2605. About to advance again. However, Lu Ming and the rest would not let the other party off easily. Lu Ming and a few other righteous army powerhouses joined forces and held the three-eyed celestial race elders back. Chiochio, smash. Lu Ming fixed his gaze on the three-eyed race's elder. He called Chiochio over and smashed it in his face. This old man will fight you to the death. The three-eyed race's old man bellowed in anger. The battle blade in his hand madly slashed towards Chiochio. On Chiochio's round body, a huge mouth full of fangs suddenly appeared and bit down on the three-eyed race's old man's saber. Fang! The battle blade of the three-eyed race's old man was directly bitten off. The three-eyed race old man was dumbfounded, stunned, completely stunned. He felt that he was in a complete mess. This battle saber of his was a level 5 low-grade god artifact. It was incomparably tough, so how could it be broken so easily? But now, it was broken by Chiochio in one bite. He was really dumbfounded. At this moment, Lu Ming seized the opportunity and thrust his spear forward, piercing through the glabella of the three-eyed race's old man and killing him. With a wave of his hand, he collected the storage ring of the three-eyed god race elder. Crack, crack. Chiochio opened its mouth wide and swallowed the other party's battle saber in 2 or 3 bites. It chewed with a satisfied expression, making crunching sounds as it ate. Even the few experts of the righteous army were stunned. The other 2 experts of the Yuan Luo Palace seized the opportunity and broke out of their encirclement. Retreat, retreat. At this moment, a voice reverberated throughout the entire area from the sky. He was a terrifying existence from the Yuan Luo Palace. The aura he exuded was shocking and unfathomable. Lu Ming estimated that he was a 9th-tier Void God Realm expert. However, there were also people of this level in the Righteous Army. The 2 of them had been fighting for a long time. Now that they had separated, the people from the Yuan Luo Palace had given the order to retreat. Buzz! Buzz! The experts from the Yuan Luo Palace retreated and turned into streaks of light, disappearing without a trace. The righteous army did not pursue. They understood that they should not pursue a cornered enemy. Furthermore, Their mission was to guard King Chen Island. The people of the Yuanluo Palace retreated, and the righteous army checked the casualties and cleaned up the battlefield before returning to their cave abodes. After a great battle, some people were injured, some were heavily damaged, and they all needed to recover. Lu Ming returned to his cave abode and took out some divine crystals to start recovering. Triggering the double battle power of the battle character formula would consume a lot of world power and ruler power. Half an hour later, Lu Ming had fully recovered. Then, a black iron token appeared in his hand. It was the mission token. At this moment, the black metal token was emitting a faint light. Lu Ming guessed that this token came from killing the Yuanluo Palace's experts. However, if he brought it back, the Hall of Missions would be able to find out about Lu Ming's battle results through some method and reward him accordingly. After keeping the token, Lu Ming took out a few storage rings. These few storage rings were obtained by Lu Ming when he killed his enemies. There were 2 items left behind by 5th-level Void God Realm powerhouses. Lu Ming was looking forward to it and began to count them. After counting, Lu Ming could not stop smiling. There were a total of 60,000 divine crystals. In addition to the divine crystals from before, Lu Ming had nearly 100,000 divine crystals. In addition, there were more than a dozen divine weapons of various levels. And NBSP, the highest god artifact, was a level 5 low-quality god artifact, while the others were level 3 and level 4. Added together, they were also worth a lot. Lu Ming casually threw 2 handfuls of level 3 low-grade divine artifacts to Qiuqiu. Qiuqiu grabbed it and ate it quickly. Lu Ming smiled and closed his eyes to cultivate. In his sea of consciousness, Jing Ye's painting unfurled, and a powerful sovereign's will emanated from it. Lu Ming calmed his heart and started to comprehend. This cultivation lasted for 10 days. These 10 days were peaceful and the Yuanluo Palace did not attack. Lu Ming stood up after he ended his cultivation. Where's that fellow Qiuqiu? Lu Ming swept his gaze around but did not find any traces of Qiuqiu. Lu Ming scanned the cave abode and soon he made a discovery. Other than the holes, the cave was sealed on all 4 sides. It was made of the special rock of the mine vein here, which was extremely hard. But now, a cave had appeared in the depths of the cave. Looking at the marks, it was clearly gnawed out. On both sides of the cave, there were teeth marks. This can't be gnawed out by Qiuqiu, right? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Then, his muscles and bones began to wriggle. Finally, his entire body shrank and he rushed into the cave. The cave was very long. Lu Ming walked for a few thousand meters before he saw Qiuqiu. Qiuqiu was currently gnawing at the surrounding rocks with its mouth wide open. The rocks here were actually the old gold mine. Chen Jingquang had mixed with the rock, becoming extremely hard. Normally, to extract Chenjin, one had to extract it from the rock mine, which was a complicated process. However, Qiuqiu directly swallowed the mineral vein in big mouthfuls. After a while, it spat out some powder and impurities. This guy can't be absorbing the Chenjin inside, right? How can he do that? Lu Ming was somewhat shocked. Qiuqiu noticed Lu Ming and swept a glance at him before continuing to gobble up the food. It ate very quickly and soon, a huge cave was formed in the area. Lu Ming looked on with interest. After eating for half a day, Qiuqiu's body had expanded by a full size before it stopped. It rolled to the side like a ball and even burped before it stopped moving. It was obvious that he had eaten too much and was beginning to digest. This fellow, Lu Ming smiled and did not bother about it. In any case, this mine vein was incomparably huge. Qiuqiu shouldn't be discovered if it ate some. Lu Ming returned to the cave abode and continued cultivating. Occasionally, he would walk out of the cave abode to inquire about the situation outside. During this time, no one from the Yuanluo Palace had come to attack Qinjindao. A few days later, a piece of news came. The Yuanluo Palace had sent out a large number of experts to attack the 7-Star Island. Could the Origin Luo Palace's true goal be the 7-Star Island? Did you attack Qinjindao just to cover it up? Perhaps they want to take over 7-Star Island and drive our righteous army out of the northern Shang planet. They want to take over the planet for themselves. It's very possible. Many people were guessing. As time passed, the attacks on 7-Star Island became more and more frequent. The pressure on 7-Star Island increased, and they began to transfer experts from the surrounding islands to reinforce them. Chen Jindao originally had around 800 people guarding it, but 400 were transferred, leaving 400 people. Lu Ming was not transferred away. He was still in charge of Qingjing Island. Soon, Lu Ming had been on Qingjing Island for a month. On this day, Lu Ming felt a wave of fluctuations coming from the channel that Qiu had created. Lu Ming's figure moved and he rushed into the passage. In the depths of the passage, Qiu had already gnawed out a huge underground PCE, and a large number of mineral veins had been swallowed by Qiu. At this moment, Qiu's body was emitting waves of radiance. It was about to advance again. Chapter 2606 Coming Again. Qiu was going to advance again. During this period of time, it had devoured a large amount of old gold. Although the old gold was not very precious, there was a lot of it. Qiu had gobbled up a huge underground hole in the underground PCE of this area. It was unknown how many Qingjin it had swallowed. On the surface of Qiu, there was a radiance that spread out. It swelled and shrank at times. This continued for a while before it stabilized. It was a success. Lu Ming sensed that Qiu had already reached 4th level Void God level. Even Lu Ming was shocked by the speed of his improvement. When he first got Qiu on Myriad Gold Star, it was only at 1st stage Virtual God Realm. It had only been a few years, but it had already reached 4th stage Virtual God Realm. It wasn't that easy to advance to the Virtual God Realm. It wasn't something that the Heavenly Emperor realm could compare to. However, Qiu seemed to have no bottlenecks at all. As long as it had precious metals, it could keep advancing. The primeval universe is really wonderful. There are even such creatures. However, the more abnormal they are, the better. Lu Ming could not stop smiling. Qiu bounced a few times in the air and flew to Lu Ming's side. It shrank rapidly and turned into a bangle that wrapped around Lu Ming's hand. Lu Ming smiled and was about to go out to find out more. Thump, thump, boom! All of a sudden, a violent war drum sounded, and even the cave abode began to shake. Enemy attack! Outside, a loud roar could be heard. Buzz! Lu Ming did not hesitate and rushed out of the cave abode. So many people! Lu Ming was shocked the moment he rushed out of the cave abode. In the sky above the mine, many figures were flying around, each of them exuding a powerful aura. The experts of the Yuanluo Palace were all experts of the palace. This time, the number of experts from the palace was shocking. There were at least 1,000 of them. And now, the Jingtian army of Qingjin Mine had only left about 400 experts to guard the place. Kill. The experts of the Yuanluo Palace swooped down and attacked the righteous army. Blood splattered everywhere, and some of the righteous army's experts were immediately killed. There were too many people from the Yuanluo Palace, almost 3 times the number of the righteous army. The battle was completely one-sided if 2 or 3 of them joined forces to deal with one person from the righteous army. Kill! As soon as Lu Ming rushed out, 2 people charged at him. However, Lu Ming was not afraid of them at all. One of them was on 3rd level Void God level while the other was on 4th level Void God level. Lu Ming rushed over directly. The meteor spear appeared and he thrust it forward. Whoosh! Whoosh! 2 dazzling spear lights pierced out. The 3rd level Void God Realm expert was pierced by the spear radiance and died on the spot. Although the 4th level Void God Realm expert blocked the attack, he was also forced to retreat. So strong. The 4th level Ethereal God Realm expert was shocked. Previously, he saw that Lu Ming was merely at the transformation Void Martial stage and thought that he could kill him easily. He did not expect that he had kicked an iron plate. Kill! After Lu Ming repelled the person, he continued to attack with his spear. The long spear vibrated and rays of spear radiance shot out. The other party tried his best to block, but it was still difficult to win. He retreated continuously and was in danger. That brat is still here. We must kill him. Kill him. At this moment, not far away, a few people flew over and stared at Lu Ming. It's them. Lu Ming's heart stirred. Two of them were the two fifth-level void god existences who had escaped from him and Qiu previously. This time, these two people had brought two other experts to kill Lu Ming. The other two's auras were terrifying, even stronger than those at the fifth level of ethereal god realm. He was an existence at the sixth level of ethereal god realm. This person's talent is heaven-defying. He must be killed. One of them fixed his gaze on Lu Ming. Today, he will die without a doubt. A sixth-level void god realm existence said. The four of them charged at Lu Ming with all their might. Before they even reached him, they had already launched attacks at Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not take it head-on. He retreated quickly. Where do you think you're going? The five people were in hot pursuit as they approached Lu Ming rapidly. Qiu, smash. Lu Ming waved his hand and Qiu flew out, turning into a huge metal ball with a diameter of 10 meters. It smashed down on a fifth-level void god-level existence. Not good. That fifth-level void god realm existence knew how powerful Qiu was, so he retreated rapidly and dodged Qiu's attack. Be careful. This metal ball has the attack power of a sixth-level ethereal god realm expert. A fifth-level void god realm existence reminded. It's fine. I'll block this metal ball. You guys go and kill that kid. A sixth-level void god realm burly man held a steel whip in his hand and rushed toward Qiu. He lashed out with the whip, and he whistled with extremely shocking power. Qiu also threw itself at the man. Boom. There was a terrifying explosion, and the result was that the sixth-level void god realm burly man spat out a mouthful of blood and retreated. Now that Qiu had advanced to the fourth level of the void god realm, its combat strength had skyrocketed, and it was not something a sixth-level void god realm existence could compare to. Why would I? The other three people's faces changed drastically, and they had expressions of disbelief. They had wanted to rush over to kill Lu Ming, but they were not on guard against the metal ball. Boom. After Qiu injured the burly man at the sixth level of the void god realm, it smashed toward the two existences at the fifth level of the void god realm. The two of them were caught off guard and were hit directly. After two screams, they died on the spot. Not good, retreat. The sixth level void god level existence's expression changed drastically. He retreated rapidly and put some distance between him and Qiu. Retreat, retreat. At that moment, a roar came from the sky. It was a ninth-level void god realm expert from the Righteous Army. The Righteous Army was no match for the Yuanluo Palace. The difference in numbers was too great. A large number of experts had fallen in the first exchange. In just a short while, about 100 experts had fallen. You want to leave? None of you will be able to leave today. A cold voice sounded, and a few terrifying figures charged toward the ninth-level ethereal god realm expert from the Righteous Army. Boom. The two sides collided. The figures from the Yuanluo Palace were all at the ninth level of the void god realm, and there were three of them. 3 against 1, there was no suspense. In just a few moves, the expert from the Righteous Army let out an unwilling roar and was killed in the air. Kill them all, don't leave a single one alive. A ninth-level ethereal god realm expert from the Yuanluo Palace ordered. Charge out. Gather and charge out. Let's go. Someone from the Righteous Army shouted. The remaining 300 or so people rushed in one direction and gathered together. Qiu, let's go. Lu Ming waved his hands to call Qiu and rushed toward the group of people. Now, they could only survive if they attacked together. Otherwise, they would all die. Lu Ming and Qiu rushed toward the Righteous Army. Kill that brat. We must kill him. The sixth-level void god-level man who was injured by Qiu earlier roared with a knife-like, killing intent. Then, a terrifying saber light slashed at Lu Ming. Chapter 2607 God's Cave Abode. Lu Ming was about to fly toward the Righteous Army when a terrifying saber light slashed at him. The saber beam was pale and terrifying. Before it even reached him, Lu Ming's heart was beating rapidly, and the hair on his body stood on end. It was dangerous, extremely dangerous. This was definitely an extremely terrifying existence that had made a move. His strength far exceeded that of a 6th-level Void God realm. In fact, it was not just a 7th-level Void God realm. A terrifying person had his eyes on Lu Ming. Not good. Lu Ming could only think about it for a year. It was too late to defend. At this moment, Qiuqiu appeared on Lu Ming's left side. It transformed into a shield and blocked his way. Boom. That saber light slashed onto Qiuqiu's body and directly pierced through the shield that Qiuqiu had transformed into. However, Qiuqiu had already absorbed most of the saber light's power. The remaining power was very limited and its speed had been greatly reduced. Lu Ming finally reacted and swept his meteor spear, sweeping it across the saber light and blocking it. Ball, Lu Ming's heart tightened. Qiuqiu had been pierced through. Would it be all right? The next moment, Lu Ming heaved a sigh of relief. Qiuqiu's body turned into a ball again. It jumped and returned to Lu Ming's shoulder as if nothing had happened. This fellow is really awesome, Lu Ming sighed in his heart. He then sped up and rushed toward the people of the righteous army. There's actually such a treasure. Not far away, a silver-haired old man was staring at Qiuqiu with a burning gaze. The silver-haired old man held a silver saber in his hand. He was the one who had slashed out with the saber just now. He moved his body and charged at Lu Ming at top speed. At this moment, Lu Ming had already met up with the people from the righteous army. Close to 300 people gathered together, like a sharp knife, they charged out with all their strength. Kill, kill, kill. More than 1,000 people from the Yuanluo Palace surrounded Lu Ming and his group, launching attacks at them. Lu Ming was also in the crowd. He waved his long spear and blocked the attacks from all directions. Brat die! The silver-haired elder had his eyes on Lu Ming. He kept slashing his silver saber at Lu Ming. Fortunately, Qiuqiu transformed into a shield and protected Lu Ming's vital points. It blocked the other party's attack. Otherwise, Lu Ming would most likely be in danger. Charge! 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 The people of the righteous army charged forward with all their might, and some of them had even burned their divine power. Although the righteous army kept dying in battle, it was effective. After a while, they finally broke out of the encirclement and flew toward the vast ocean. Don't chase, that matter is more important. A 9th-level Void God Realm expert stopped the others and came to the center of the Qinjin mine. It should be here. Everyone, gather your strength and break open this mine vein. A 9th-level Void God Realm expert ordered. Yes. Thousands of people from the Yuanluo Palace gathered and attacked at the same time. One after another, they attacked the Qinjin or vein. Boom, boom. The old gold mine rumbled and shattered rocks flew everywhere. However, the people from the Yuanluo Palace didn't even look at it. Their goal didn't seem to be the Qinjin mine. Lu Ming and the group flew at high speed. After flying for more than 100,000 miles, they slowed down when they realized that the people from the Origin Luo Palace were not chasing after them. Damn it! Detestable! Many people roared. This time, the losses were too great. Out of the original 400, only about 200 were left. It was a huge loss. This time, they didn't expect that the Origin Luo Palace would suddenly gather such a strong force to attack the old gold mine. Send the news to the 7-Star Island. We must take revenge for this. Someone gritted his teeth and then sent the news to the 7-Star Island. Boom. At this moment, a pillar of light shot up into the sky from afar, piercing through the clouds. Everyone looked in that direction in shock. That direction was clearly the direction of the Qinjin mine. It's at the Qinjin mine. What's going on? Some people were extremely puzzled. Such a shocking phenomenon. We can clearly see it from 100,000 miles away. There must be a rare treasure, a cave abode of a powerhouse, or some historical site. Someone made a guess. It must be so. I understand now. The Origin Luo Palace must have gotten some information. Their original purpose was to get the Qin gold mine. The previous attack on 7-Star Island was just an illusion. Someone shouted. Everyone's heart moved. Perhaps it was true. The attack on Seven Star Island by the Yuan Luo Palace might have been an illusion to confuse them. Not only could they restrain the forces on Seven Star Island, but they could also lure away some experts from the Qin gold mine. Then, the Yuan Luo Palace could concentrate their forces and occupy the Qin gold mine in one fell swoop. This won't do. Quickly report this matter to the higher-ups, report it to the general. Someone immediately used a voice transmission jade talisman to send out the news. Then, they decided to send people to the Qinjin mine to check out the news. At this moment, the Qinjin mine had completely changed. The mine vein disappeared, and a hole was revealed under it. A beam of light shot out of the hole and soared into the sky. It only disappeared after half an hour. A deity's cave abode, huh? There really is a deity's cave abode. Quick, send the news to the hall master. One of the burly men laughed madly. The others were also full of smiles, their eyes shining with a fiery light. A deity's cave abode. This was a cave abode left behind by a deity. It was simply unimaginable. The chaotic astral river is vast and boundless. There are countless cultivators and countless divine spirits who have reached the void god realm. However, there were only a handful of people in history who could cultivate to the heavenly god level. Currently, the divine realm expert known to the public was the master of the Yunfeng Pavilion, the most powerful force in the chaotic astral river. He was the only known heavenly god in the chaotic astral river. One could only imagine how valuable a cave abode left behind by a heavenly god was. Even if the god of heaven had left some useless things in the cave, they were all supreme treasures to others. The people of the Yuan Luo Palace immediately spread the news. Not only did they inform the palace master, but they also gathered more experts of the palace. Not long after, groups of experts flew over from the sky. They were all experts from the Yuan Luo Palace. They had gathered here to increase the strength of this place. 100,000 miles away, there was a group of people from the righteous army who had gathered with Lu Ming and the rest. They had sent out information about the other party's location. What's going on? Someone from the righteous army asked. The Qinjin mine was ambushed by the Origin Luo Palace. They sent out more than 1,000 hollow god realm cultivators, and more than 200 of us were killed. Only these few managed to escape. Someone explained helplessly. Damn the Yuan Luo Palace. Someone from the righteous army who came later roared. Why did the Yuan Luo Palace attack the Qinjin mine? Someone asked. There should be some rare treasures on Qinjin Island. As soon as one of them explained, a few figures flew over from the distance. They were the few people who had been sent to observe the Qinjin mine. A cave has appeared in the Qinjin mine, and a large number of experts from the Yuan Luo Palace have gathered there. One of the people who went to inquire about the news said. Chapter 2608 Perfect Teeth. What? Cave dwelling, so that's how it is. It must be the cave dwelling of an expert. The people of the Yuan Luo Palace must be after this cave. They can forget about monopolizing it. We'll wait here for the general and then we'll kill our way back. All right. The Jingtian army was shocked to hear that there was a cave dwelling in the Qinjin mine. They had been excavating the ancient gold mine for so many years, but they had not found anything. Immediately, the people of the righteous sky army began to wait. Old gold mine. Some of you will stay outside to guard the place. The rest will follow me in and explore the place first. A tall and dy old man instructed. Yes. Everyone bowed and accepted the order. They looked at the old man with respect in their eyes. That was because this old man was a top expert of the Yuan Luo Palace, a terrifying true god expert. Every true god was a top expert in the Yuan Luo Palace. They had the power to control a region and had the power to kill. Under the elders' arrangement, a group of people from the Yuan Luo Palace stayed outside the cave while the rest followed the elder down. 100,000 miles away, Lu Ming and the rest were waiting quietly. Lu Ming was also sitting cross-legged on the sea to rest. Crack, crack. At this moment, Qiu opened its mouth wide and bit down hard. Its eyes were staring straight in the direction of the Qin gold mine. What do you want to do? Lu Ming asked. Crack, crack. Chiu-Chiu's mouth continued to close, and its teeth clattered. It even extended a tentacle and pointed in the direction of the Qin gold mine, revealing a look of desire. "You want to go to the Qinjin mine?" Lu Ming asked. "Correct, correct." Chiu-Chiu's round body rolled a few times. "All right, I'll go with you, but be careful." Lu Ming pondered for a moment. He was also quite curious and wanted to see what was going on with the cave dwelling in the Qinjin mine. Chiu-Chiu transformed into a bangle and wore it on Lu Ming's hand. Lu Ming did not tell anyone and headed to the Qinjin or vein alone. The distance of 100,000 miles was covered in a short while. So many experts. As he neared the ancient gold mine, Lu Ming discovered that there were at least a few thousand origin Luo Hall powerhouses on the island. With so many experts, it's impossible to approach them head-on. What should we do? That's right, from the sea. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He dived into the sea and kept diving. He dived to a depth of 1,000 meters and then approached Qinjin Island. There was no one from the Yuan Luo Palace guarding the sea because the entire island was filled with ancient gold mines. They were not worried. Very soon, Lu Ming arrived at the bottom of Qinjin Island. When it arrived, Chiu-Chiu flew out and opened its mouth wide, biting down on Qinjin Dao. Chiu-Chiu's speed was very fast. Very quickly, a large hole was bitten in Qinjin Dao. It continued to push in, and soon a pause sage appeared. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Perhaps they could use this to enter Qinjindo's cave abode. Lu Ming revealed a look of joy and followed closely behind Chiu-Chiu. And NBSP kakaka. Chiu-Chiu's speed became faster and faster as it headed deeper into the island. Originally, Qinjindo's mine vein was extremely hard. Even an expert would find it difficult to dig a tunnel. It would also cause a huge commotion, and the experts of the Yuan Luo Palace on the island would notice. However, Chiu-Chiu's gnawing of the Qin gold mine did not seem to cause any movement. After an unknown amount of time, "Chiu-Chiu, be careful. There's movement ahead," Lu Ming said in a low voice. That was because a series of rumbles came from the front. It seemed like a great battle was happening. Chiu-Chiu slowed down a little. When its mouth bit on those mineral veins, there was no sound at all. A moment later, the mine vein seemed to have been dug through, revealing a gap. Lu Ming looked outside through the gap and took in the scenery outside. Outside, there was a huge building made of a kind of black rock. It was so huge that one couldn't see the end of it. At the very front of the building, there was a huge door. At this moment, a group of people were bombarding the door. However, it was obvious that there was a formation set up at the gate. There were rays of light shining, and the group of people kept bombarding it, but they could not break the formation at all. One of the elders had an extremely terrifying aura. Each of his moves was extremely powerful and bombarded the array of the gate. What a terrifying expert! Lu Ming was secretly shocked. Even though there was still a long distance between them, the aura that the elder emitted still made him apprehensive. The Yuan Luo Palace already has such a terrifying expert. This cave is definitely not a small matter. Lu Ming pondered in his heart. However, the experts of the Yuan Luo Palace kept attacking, but they couldn't break the formation. Damn it, the defensive power of this formation is too strong. Even the surrounding walls are protected by the formation. We can't break it at all. Now, we can only wait for the palace master and the others to come and find a way to break it. After bombarding for a while, the old man stopped and said unhappily. The people from the Yuan Luo Palace were helpless and could only stop and wait. "Chiu-Chiu, let's leave," Lu Ming whispered to Chiu-Chiu. Then, Chiu-Chiu changed its direction and left the place. It then approached the building. Not long after, the mine vein disappeared and a dark wall blocked them. This wall was the wall of the building. Lu Ming took out a divine combat sword and slashed the wall. However, there was not a single mark. The stone material of this wall is very special. It's hard and immortal. There's also the power of a great formation on it, so it's impossible to break it. It seems that we can only stop here. Lu Ming sighed. This cave abode was able to attract so many people from the Yuan Luo Palace, so it must be extraordinary. If they could sneak in and obtain some treasures, they would definitely make a fortune. Lu Ming was also tempted, but unfortunately he could not enter. Right at this moment, Chiu Chiu opened its mouth wide and started biting the wall. Fang. A small piece of the wall was bitten off. This works too? Lu Ming was dumbfounded and tongue-tied. There was a formation on the wall that even the terrifying old man from the Yuanluo Palace couldn't break, but Chiu Chiu could. This directly ignored the formation. Now, Lu Ming only had one feeling. Chiu Chiu's teeth were too sharp. Crack, crack. Chiu Chiu bit down with all its might. Although it wasn't biting very fast and could only bite off a small piece each time, if this continued, it would definitely be able to bite through the wall and enter the building. Lu Ming was waiting with antic. 1. Asian. At this moment, more and more powerhouses from Qin Jin's branch of the Yuanluo Palace were gathering. And 100,000 miles away, there were more and more powerhouses in the righteous army. However, neither side made a move. They were also waiting for the arrival of the strongest experts from both sides. Chapter 2609 Sneaking in the headquarters of the Yuanluo Palace was located on a huge planet. There was a huge city on this planet. In a large hall in the city, two figures were discussing some matters. One of them was a middle-aged man who looked similar to Kong Long. He was the Yuanluo Palace master, Kong Ji. The other person was an old man with 3 eyes on his forehead and long golden hair. He was also a member of the three-eyed race, the same race as the non-human divine ancestor. This elder's status in the Yuanluo Palace was extraordinary. He was the supreme elder and was extremely powerful. He was on the same level as the Yuanluo Palace master. His name was Emokan. The two of them were the strongest in the Yuanluo Palace. The deity's abode. I didn't think that there would really be a deity's abode on the northern Shang planet. The three-eyed race's elder Emokan's eyes were burning with pause. Shaun. I originally thought that it would at most be a real god's cave dwelling. I didn't expect that it would be a heavenly god's cave dwelling. This is a huge opportunity. The eyes of the palace master of the Yuanluo Palace were burning with desire. Hallmaster, the righteous army's Fa Ming has probably received the news as well. He's probably rushing to northern Shang as well. Hell be a problem. Emokan frowned and said, Fa Ming was the ancestor of Technique's name. That ant from a small kiliacosm. If I had known this would happen, I would have killed him back then and we wouldn't have had to face this trouble now. At the mention of the ancestor of Technique, the eyes of the Yuanluo Palace master were filled with killing intent. Unfortunately, he's already grown up. Even if the two of us join forces, we might not be able to kill him. Emokan said helplessly. Once we obtain the treasures in the deity's cave abode and increase our strength greatly, we'll definitely kill him. Moreover, I already have a plan this time. That old man Fu Heng still owes me a favor. I've already sent him a voice transmission. He'll go and delay Fa Ming for a while. The hall master of the Yuanluo Hall said. Hall master is wise. With Fu Heng helping, I can rest assured. Hall master, let's go. Emokan was overjoyed. Let's go. Together with Emokan, the Yuanluo Hall master led a group of experts toward the North Shang planet. Jingtian Army, Jingtian Star. An expert's cave? It's worth the attention of the Yuanluo Palace. Let's go and take a look. In a hall, the ancestor of Technique also received the news. He stepped out and was about to head to the teleportation array to the northern Shang planet. Brother Fa Ming, where are you going in such a hurry? At this moment, an old voice was heard. A figure suddenly appeared in the sky. This figure was an old man with silver skin. He was obviously not human. The old man was wearing a long white robe. He stood on the clouds and smiled at the ancestor of Technique. Fu Heng. The ancestor of Technique frowned. Fu Heng, he said. What brings you here to the righteous army? Brother Fa Ming, it's been tens of thousands of years since we last met. I've come today to play a game of chess with you. Fu Heng smiled. Playing chess with me? I'm not free today. The ancestor of Technique said. I can only play this game today. If it were another day, I won't be able to play this game anymore. Fu Heng smiled and took a step forward. He came in front of the ancestor of technique and blocked his way. Did Kong Ji ask you to come? The ancestor of technique's face darkened. Back then I received a great favor from him. I have no choice but to return this favor. Fu Heng sighed. It seems that the cave abode on planet Northern Shang is no small matter. Kong Ji actually found you to delay me so that I can't rush to planet Northern Shang. The ancestor of technique was very smart. He thought about it and figured out everything. Brother Fa Ming, let's play the next round. I'll leave once this round is over. Fu Heng smiled and waved his hand. A huge flag appeared in the air. The ancestor of technique frowned. Fu Heng was very powerful. If he really wanted to fight him, he had no confidence at all. There was even a high possibility that he would not be able to defeat him. In an instant, many thoughts flashed through the ancestor of technique's mind. Alright, since you're in such a good mood, let's play a round. The ancestor of technique was also helpless. He then sat cross-legged in the air, facing Fu Heng with the chess game between them. At the same time, he sent out a message to inform the Righteous Sky Army that they were not to make a move no matter what they encountered before he arrived on the planet. Then he started playing chess with Fu Heng. On planet Northern Shang, in the Chen Gold Mine, the Yuan Luo Hall Master Kong Ji and the others had arrived. Greetings, Hall Master. The True God Realm Old Man and the other people from the Yuan Luo Palace bowed. How is it? Did you guys check this cave abode first? The Hall Master of the Yuan Luo Hall asked. Palace Master, we've already gone to investigate, but there's a powerful defensive formation outside the cave abode. I can't break it with my cultivation. I'm afraid we'll need Palace Master and Grand Elder to work together to break it. The True God Realm Old Man reported. There's a great formation. It's within my expectations. Let's go. The Palace Master of the Yuan Luo Palace led a group of experts into the cave abode and arrived at the gate of the building. Boom. The Palace Master of the Yuan Luo Palace made his move. A terrifying attack was launched at the door. Rays of light shone on the door, blocking the attack from the Palace Master. Boom. With a loud boom, the array at the gate started to shake. The strength of the Yuan Luo Palace Master was much stronger than the True God Realm Elder. The True God Realm Elder was only at the first stage of the True God Realm, while the Hall Master of the Yuan Luo Hall had already reached the fourth stage of the True God Realm. It's effective. The Hall Master is truly amazing. The eyes of the other people from the Yuan Luo Palace lit up as they began to flatter him. Let's attack together and break the formation as quickly as possible. The Hall Master of the Yuan Luo Hall ordered. Then, the experts of the Yuan Luo Palace attacked together. However, this array was indeed very strong. Even if their attacks were effective, it would not be broken in a short time. It would take a long time to slowly wear out the energy of the array. On the other side, Qiu was still biting the wall. At this moment, there was already a large hole on the wall that was a meter deep. This wall is really hard. Lu Ming was somewhat speechless. Now, he could only wait patiently. With his cultivation, he couldn't help much. A day passed, said just like that. The wall had already been bitten 3 meters deep by Qiu. Feng. With Qiu's bite, the wall was finally bitten through. It's done. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Crack, crack. Qiu also became spirited. It bit harder. Soon, a hole appeared. The wall had been completely opened up, and dim light came from the other side. Lu Ming's body shrunk and he rushed into the cave in the wall. The next moment, he appeared in a palace, sage. The tunnel was surrounded by pitch-black walls. They had dug through the walls in the middle of the tunnel. Lu Ming identified the direction and then strode toward the depths of the palace sage. Chapter 2610 Sweeping everything clean. The palace sageway was hundreds of meters long. After walking through the palace sageway, Lu Ming came across a courtyard. It turned out that the palace sage just now was just a small path on the side. This was the real main courtyard. Boom, boom. Outside the courtyard came a series of rumbles. It was obvious that the gate of the building was right outside the courtyard. The palace master of the Yuan Luo Palace and the others were bombarding the formation at the gate. They never would have thought that someone had already entered the building before they could even break the formation on the door. "I'm going to speed up." Lu Ming's figure flashed and he went into the courtyard. There was a large hall in the courtyard. Lu Ming's eyes immediately swept across the room. The hall was empty. Lu Ming was a little disappointed. However, there was an inner hall behind the main hall. Lu Ming walked into the inner hall. The inner hall was a little messy, and there was a huge platform. Lu Ming took a closer look and recognized the platform. It should be used for forging weapons. There were some materials piled up randomly around the corner. Crack, crack. Chiu had already started eating. It stretched out 2 tentacles, grabbed the ingredients, and started eating. "This is star silver, black sky gold." Lu Ming's gaze swept across the room and he discovered 2 extremely precious refining materials. Star silver and black sky gold were both materials that could be used to craft middle-grade divine artifacts. They were extremely precious. "Wait!" Lu Ming rushed over and quickly grabbed the star silver and black sky gold and kept them. Lu Ming only recognized these. There were many others that he did not recognize. Most likely, their levels would not be low. Lu Ming and Chiu swept away all the materials like the wind. Crack, crack. Chiu glared at Lu Ming angrily, as if it was saying that Lu Ming had its food. These materials aren't cheap. Take them out and exchange them for something else for you to eat." Lu Ming chuckled. The materials that could be used to craft middle-grade divine artifacts were definitely priceless. However, apart from these materials, he did not find anything else of value. Lu Ming speculated that this should be the cave abode of an expert. The expert was refining weapons here and had thrown some useless materials on the corner. They were the materials that Lu Ming had collected earlier. However, the things that the expert didn't care about were also valuable to others. Lu Ming sized it up happily but did not discover anything else. He exited the inner hall and returned to the outer hall. He noticed that there was a corridor on the side of the outer hall. Lu Ming followed the corridor to the back and saw another courtyard. There was a tall building in front of the courtyard, but the door of the courtyard was closed. There was also a large array set up on the door. Lu Ming tried, but he realized that he could not enter at all. He was blocked by the large array. "Looks like he'll have to take a detour again." Lu Ming pondered for a moment and then went back the way he came. He came to the side passage and exited from the gap that Chiu had bitten open. "How do we fill up this gap?" Lu Ming was deep in thought. Later on, if the Yuan Luo Hall Master and the others broke the formation and entered, they would probably find this gap. Chiu seemed to have read Lu Ming's mind. It opened its mouth and a sticky black liquid spurted out. It looked like a black liquid metal. The black liquid metal poured into the gap and quickly solidified, completely blocking the gap. Lu Ming was a little dumbfounded. He speculated that the black liquid metal was the impurities that Chiu had eaten. Anyway, no matter what, the gap was blocked. Lu Ming was overjoyed. Then, Chiu continued to refuel and gnaw on the old gold mine as it headed inside the building. When it estimated that it had already passed the door, Chiu started to bite the black wall again. A few days later, Chiu bit through the wall and Lu Ming entered through the gap. He realized that he had already entered the building behind the door. There were many secret rooms here. Lu Ming began to search. In the beginning, a few of the secret rooms were empty. He only discovered it when he arrived at the largest secret room. There were a few shelves around the secret room, and there were some jade bottles on the shelves. A divine pill. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The divine elixir was very useful for the martial god realm. There were actually some divine pills here. Lu Ming picked up a jade bottle and realized that there were runes carved on it. These runes were used to seal the jade bottle to prevent the medicinal effects from being lost. However, many years had passed, and the power of the seal had weakened. Lu Ming used the path of domination and broke the seal very quickly. Then he opened the jade bottle. Immediately, a thick medicinal fragrance filled the air. There's still medicinal effects. Lu Ming was overjoyed. However, Lu Ming did not know what the divine pill in the jade bottle was called or what effects it had. Lu Ming knew nothing about the divine pill. I don't care. I'll keep it first. I'll slowly identify it when I go out. Lu Ming waved his hand and kept all the jade bottles. There were more than 50 of them. After keeping it, Lu Ming sized up the secret room. In the middle of the secret room, there was a dark-colored mark. This should be a secret room for alchemy. The mark in the middle should be where the alchemy furnace was placed. Lu Ming speculated. Although Lu Ming did not know much about divine pills, he was also an alchemist in the heaven realm. He was very familiar with the habitual steps of alchemy. He could speculate many things just by looking at the layout of the secret room. It was obvious that this was a secret alchemy room. However, the owner of this place had left with the alchemy furnace and most of the elixirs. Perhaps, some of the pills that were not important to the cave abode's owner had been left behind, and they were the ones that Lu Ming had obtained previously. However, the owner of this cave abode was not a trivial matter. Even if the owner of the cave abode did not like it, it did not mean that Lu Ming did not like it. After walking out of the secret room, Lu Ming began to search again. Then he found a passageway. However, this passageway was also set up with an array. Lu Ming could not pass through it at all. This cave is really big. There are more inside. Let's continue. Lu Ming was all smiles. This cave dwelling had obviously been abandoned by its owner. Almost all the good things had been taken away, but even if there were some things left that were not important to the owner, they were still valuable treasures. Lu Ming went out through the hole that they had come in through. Chiu did the same thing again. It spewed out liquid metal and blocked the hole. Then they continued to dig and went deeper into the cave abode. After moving forward for a while, Chiu continued to bite a hole in the stone wall and Lu Ming entered it. This time, the place they entered was a little special. They seemed to have entered a passageway. The passageway was very large, at least 100 meters in diameter, and smooth walls surrounded them on all four sides. It was pitch black in front of the passage, and no one knew where it led to. Lu Ming pondered for a moment and walked along the passage. And NBSP hoo-hoo. All of a sudden, a terrifying whistling sound was heard in the passage. Then, a strong suction force was produced in the passage, sucking Lu Ming in. Chapter 2611 Hurricane Tunnel, Not Good. Lu Ming's expression changed drastically. The suction force at the front of the passage was too strong. Lu Ming was not prepared at all and was sucked in at once. Buzz. Lu Ming was like a small boat in a huge wave, drifting with the current and being thrown out directly. Soon, they reached the end of the passage. However, at the end of the passage, there was an even larger passage. The passage that Lu Ming was in just now was just a branch. The two paths converged. Lu Ming was directly thrown into this larger passage. Ooh! The larger passage was at least a few thousand meters in diameter, and it was filled with endless gales that blew in one direction. It was because of this wind that the air current was able to produce such a terrifying attractive force. The endless gale blew on Lu Ming's body. It was like a sharp blade cutting into Lu Ming's body, causing him to feel a sharp pain. Lu Ming hurriedly circulated the power of domination all over his body to resist the attack of the strong wind. And NBSP hoo-hoo. The strong wind whistled as Lu Ming was carried by the strong wind and flew towards the front of the passage at an extreme speed. In the blink of an eye, he had flown hundreds of miles. No, I can't keep being carried around like this. Lu Ming's mind was racing. He mustered all his strength and rushed to the side of the passage. The side of the passage was full of uneven rocks. When Lu Ming was near the side of the passage, he grabbed a protruding rock and finally stabilized himself. There's a hurricane tunnel in the depths of this cave. Where does it lead to? Lu Ming started to think. Could it be that the true core of the cave abode was in the depths of the passage, and he had to pass through the hurricane passage to reach it? This was highly possible. Many experts would set up formations or traps around their cave abodes to block others. This hurricane passage Sage was most likely set up by the owner of the cave. Follow the side of the pass, Sage, and go in to take a look. Lu Ming had made up his mind. He did not want to give up and came here. Immediately, Lu Ming walked along the side of the pass, Sage, and climbed up the protruding rocks, slowly heading deeper into the pass, Sage. However, Lu Ming realized that the closer he got to the depths of the pass, Sage, the stronger the wind was. It was very energy-consuming for Lu Ming to resist the power of the hurricane. Every once in a while, Lu Ming would stop to rest and recover his energy. Just like that, Lu Ming walked for 3 days and still did not reach the end of the pass, Sage. This tunnel seemed to be endless. At this moment, Lu Ming heard a beast's roar. Beast roar? What's going on? Are there still desolate beasts or divine beasts here? Lu Ming had a puzzled look on his face. However, at the next moment, his eyes widened. That was because he saw a huge wild beast soaring in the hurricane and flying toward Lu Ming. It was a strange, desolate beast. Its body was like an eagle and was covered in green feathers. However, its head was that of a lion. It was Lu Ming's first time seeing such a dire beast with the head of a lion and the body of a bird. This wild beast was completely unafraid of the strong wind. It flapped its wings and flew against the wind. Its eyes were like lightning as it swept its gaze over Lu Ming. Buzz! Buzz! It flapped its wings a few times and flew towards Lu Ming at top speed. Its sharp claws grabbed at Lu Ming in the air. The force whistled and its sharpness was terrifying. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. He grabbed the rock with one hand and held the meteor spear in the other. He thrust the spear forward. Clang! The meteor spear struck the sharp claws of his opponent, and the sound of metal clashing rang out. The lion-headed eagle beast was sent flying, but Lu Ming's long spear also trembled violently, causing Lu Ming's arm to go numb. What a terrifying power! Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He did not dare to be careless. The lion-headed eagle beast retreated and spread its wings to stabilize its body. Its eyes were even colder. With a flap of its wings, its body was like a gust of wind as it charged at Lu Ming. Its wings were like blades, slashing at Lu Ming. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Lu Ming held the spear in one hand and shot out rays of spear radiance as he fought the lion-headed eagle beast. In the blink of an eye, the two sides had exchanged dozens of blows. In the end, Lu Ming thrust his spear at the lion-headed eagle beast's lower abdomen. The lion-headed eagle beast roared in anger and retreated frantically. Feathers fell all over the sky, and it was swept away by the hurricane, disappearing at the end of the pass, Sage. Roar! The lion-headed eagle-bodied beast was incomparably enraged. It roared continuously, and its wings flapped rapidly. Buzz! And NBSP whoosh! Wind blades, sharper than ordinary divine artifacts, were formed and shot toward Lu Ming. Not good. Without hesitation, Lu Ming activated the double combat strength of the battle formula. Now, Lu Ming could trigger the double combat strength of the battle formula almost twice. After activating the double combat power, his strength increased greatly. With a shake of his long spear, he shot out over 100 spear lights, destroying the wind blades one by one. At the same time, the long spear swept out with the wind, sweeping towards the lion-headed eagle beast. Lu Ming's attack was already astonishingly fast to begin with. Now that he was moving along with the wind, his speed became even faster. The lion-headed eagle beast wanted to dodge, but it was already too late. It was struck by the long spear. Bang! The lion-headed eagle beast exploded. To Lu Ming's surprise, after the lion-headed eagle beast exploded, there was not a single drop of blood. It turned into energy and disappeared. It's fake and not a real living being? Lu Ming was also stunned. Could it be that this was condensed by the big array? However, the lion-headed eagle beast was too real. It was no different from the real thing. Lu Ming could not tell just now. After killing the lion-headed eagle-bodied beast, Lu Ming continued to move forward from the side. However, they didn't go far before they heard a few more roars. Then, Lu Ming saw the lion-headed eagle beast. Moreover, it wasn't just one this time, but 3. the three lion-headed eagle-bodied beasts pounced at Lu Ming the moment they saw him. "Then let's fight." Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. He brandished his long spear and engaged the three-headed lion-headed eagle beast in close combat. This time, they exchanged more than 100 moves. In the hurricane tunnel, Lu Ming had to resist the strong wind, and it was difficult for him to exert his full strength. On the other hand, the lion-headed eagle beast was like a fish in water, able to exert its full strength. Therefore, even though the lion-headed eagle beast's level was not high, Lu Ming still spent a lot of effort to kill it. "It's not bad to use this environment to train myself." Lu Ming smiled faintly. In such an adverse situation, Lu Ming had to go all out to fight the lion-headed eagle beast. He had to exert his dominant power and the battle character formula to the extreme. After the previous exchange of blows, Lu Ming felt that he had gained some understanding of the ruler and the battle character formula. Although it wasn't much, it was still much faster than dry and bitter cultivation. After that, Lu Ming found a larger protruding rock and used it to stabilize his body. He then circulated his cultivation technique to recover. Every time he used the double combat power of the battle formula, he had to rest and recover. It was impossible to use it continuously. A few hours later, Lu Ming had fully recovered. He then continued to head deeper into the sage. However, he had not gone far when a few more lion-headed eagle-bodied beasts appeared and fought with Lu Ming. After another 100 moves, the lion-headed eagle beast was finally killed. Lu Ming had gained more understanding of the Tao of domination and the battle formula. Chapter 2612 Tempering through killing. Just like that, Lu Ming advanced and killed along the way. In the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. After 3 months, they still had not reached the end of the sage. There were two main reasons for this. First, the sage was too long. The second reason was that Lu Ming's progress was very slow. Every time he advanced a certain distance, he would encounter the lion-headed eagle-bodied beast. Naturally, his progress would be slower. There was even one time when Lu Ming encountered more than 10 lion-headed eagle-bodied beasts appearing at the same time. Lu Ming was no match for them and could only retreat against the wind. Fortunately, the lion-headed eagle beast seemed to have its own territory. When Lu Ming retreated to a certain area, the other party did not pursue him. Lu Ming continued to fight the lion-headed eagle beast. After 3 months, the palace master and the experts of the Yuanluo Palace finally broke the formation of the outermost gate. Kacha! The door opened, and the palace master and the others rushed in excitedly. They fantasized that there would be a large number of treasures waiting for them. However, it was as if a basin of cold water had been poured on them. There was nothing. They searched every corner, but it was empty. There was nothing. The palace master's face darkened. Naturally, they had also searched for the sageway that Lu Ming had entered previously. However, the gap had been blocked by Qiu. They had only scanned the area casually and naturally did not discover it. Soon, they came to the depths and were blocked by the second door. "Palace Master, there's another door here. Perhaps the area we're in now is only the periphery of the cave abode, so there's no treasure here. We might be able to obtain an opportunity through this door." The Grand Elder of the Yuanluo Palace, Missouri Kent, said. "That's right, the treasure must be hidden inside. As long as we break through this door, we'll definitely be able to obtain the treasure." The others from the Yuanluo Palace also chimed in. The palace master's expression eased a little. "All right, then let's join forces and break this door. When we get the treasures, I will definitely not mistreat you." "Many thanks, Hall Master." The others expressed their gratitude and joined forces to attack the door. However, the moment they made their move, their expressions turned ugly. This was because the strength of this gate's array was much stronger than the first gate. The first door had taken them several months to break open. This door would probably take even longer. But now, they were helpless and could only grit their teeth and attack. In the sky above the righteous army, the ancestor of technique and Fu Heng were still playing chess. What they were playing wasn't a real game of chess. It contained cultivation and wisdom. Every move was a contest between the two of them, and it would take a long time. They were still playing chess with all their might. In the hurricane tunnel, Lu Ming was still moving forward slowly, fighting with the lion-headed eagle beast. Just like that, Lu Ming entered the hurricane pass, Sageway. 8 months had passed, said. After 8 months of continuous killing, Lu Ming had made great progress in all aspects. Lu Ming felt that his cultivation level had reached the limit of a 5-star heavenly emperor and he could break through. I've been fighting and tempering myself here. My cultivation has indeed improved very quickly. Lu Ming sighed. If he were to cultivate step by step outside, even in such a good environment like the desolate universe, Lu Ming would need at least 5 years before he could break through. And this was under the premise that he had Jing Ye's portrait to study. However, in less than a year, Lu Ming felt that he could break through. I have to find a better place to break through. Along the way, I saw some pits, but I have to break through in those pits. Lu Ming pondered. The walls here were uneven, and there were often some potholes, like shallow caves. It was a very good hiding place. Lu Ming continued to move forward. After a few more rounds of fighting, Lu Ming finally found a pit. After entering the pit, Lu Ming sat cross-legged and began to regulate his breathing. A few hours later, Lu Ming had recovered to his peak state. He took out a pile of divine crystals and started to break through. The breakthrough this time was smooth without any difficulty. A few days later, Lu Ming successfully became a 6-star heavenly emperor. The price he paid was that he had to consume over 10,000 divine crystals. After becoming a 6-star heavenly emperor, Lu Ming's abilities had become stronger. However, the further one advanced in the virtual god realm, the greater the gap between each level. It was getting harder and harder for him to break through in the heavenly emperor realm and fight across levels. If he did not use the battle character formula, Lu Ming could only fight against a 4th-level void god-level powerhouse at most with the path of domination. After successfully breaking through, Lu Ming continued to advance and fought the lion-headed eagle-bodied beast to temper himself. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming had been in the hurricane pass, Sageway for 1 year and 3 months. At this moment, the Yuanluo Hall Master and the others were still blocked by the second door and could not break the formation. Hall Master, bad news? At this moment, an expert from the Yuanluo Palace came in and reported. What is it? The Hall Master of the Yuanluo Hall asked with a dark expression. He was in a bad mood. He had been here for more than a year, but he had not gained anything. If this went on, when Fu Heng couldn't hold the ancestor of technique back anymore, it would be troublesome. Palace Master, the free and unfettered sect master, is here with his men. An expert from the Yuanluo Palace reported. That old fellow Situ. The Yuanluo Palace Master gritted his teeth. Brother Kong, you're too unkind. There's an expert's cave here, and you want to take it for yourself without even informing me. At this time, a cold and faint voice rang out, and a group of people rushed in. The one in the lead was a skinny middle-aged man. This man was the leader of the Footloose sect, Situ Haonan. Brother Situ, you've misunderstood me. There's a formation blocking this place. I was going to break the formation and inform you. The Palace Master of the Yuanluo Palace said with a fake smile. Notify me when the formation is broken? Situ Haonan laughed coldly and said, Brother Kong, no matter what, we're in an alliance. We've worked together to deal with the righteous army. My carefree sect has helped you hold back many of the righteous army's experts, which is why you have the opportunity to occupy this cave dwelling. So, my carefree sect will also have a share of this cave dwelling. Brother Kong, do you have any objections? How many do you want? The Yuanluo Palace Master said. Well, split the treasures inside. Situ Haonan said. Half. The Palace Master's face darkened. Brother Situ, your appet? 1. He is too big. Too big? Hee. Situ Haonan sneered. If I turn around and leave now and lure Fa Ming here, I'm afraid you won't even get half of it. You. The Palace Master's expression turned ugly. Everything was about benefits. The Yuanluo Palace and the Walkabout sect had only joined forces for the sake of profit. Now that an expert's cave abode was in front of them, their relationship was not as friendly. He had no doubt that if he refused, Siddhaonan would do anything. Chapter 26 13-7 Heavenly Emperor. The palace master of the Yuanluo Palace forced out a smile and said, "Brother Siddha must be joking." "Fine, half it is, but the formation here is very strong and difficult to break. Next, we'll need all of free and unfettered sex experts to attack together. This is only natural." Siddhaonan revealed a smile. Immediately, the experts from the Yuanluo Palace and the Walkabout sect joined forces to attack the formation. With the two of them working together, their speed increased greatly. It only took them a month to break through the formation and open the door. "Let's go!" The experts from both sides rushed into the gate, ready to plunder the treasures. But after entering, he was dumbfounded. It was clean and there was nothing inside. They came to the place where Lu Ming had taken the pills. There were a few shelves, but there was nothing on the shelves. Empty? The palace master's face was extremely gloomy. His chest heaved up and down, and he almost vomited blood. Could it be that this cave abode was empty, and the owner of the cave abode did not leave anything behind? It shouldn't be. This was a deity's cave abode. According to common sense, even if such a person left, he would take some valuable treasures with him, but he would always leave behind some unimportant items. They might not be important to heavenly deities, but to them, they might all be priceless treasures. But how could there be nothing? "Search, search carefully." The hall master of the Yuanluo Hall roared. They searched inside and out, but they couldn't find a single hair. In the end, they came to the depths of this area. There was a paas sage here that was blocked by an extremely powerful formation. There's more inside. Perhaps the deeper part of the cave is inside? Perhaps the treasures are all inside? The hall master of the Yuanluo Hall and the others consoled themselves with this thought. Then he had no choice but to continue working hard and bombarding the formation. However, the formation here was even more powerful than the previous one. Even an expert from the Walkabout sect would need a long time to break through it. Time pass said quickly. It had been 2 years since Lu Ming entered the Hurricane Pass Sageway. Lu Ming made rapid progress in the continuous fighting. His cultivation level had unknowingly reached the peak of 6-star Heavenly Emperor. Lu Ming found another pit and started to break through to the next realm. In the end, he successfully broke through the realm and became a 7-star Heavenly Emperor. Lu Ming had finally reached the peak of 7-star Heavenly Emperor. The next step was to combine all 10,000 elements into one and form the Divine Fire. After condensing the Divine Fire, he would be able to break through to the Martial God realm and enter the second step of cultivation. To the current Lu Ming, it was not particularly difficult for him to gather 10,000 elements into one and condense the Divine Fire. This was because when Lu Ming came to the primeval universe, his small world had already merged with the primeval universe and transformed into pure world energy and dominator energy. Moreover, as Lu Ming's cultivation level increased, the proportion of the ruler's power in his body increased. Now, the proportion of the dominator's power in Lu Ming's body had reached 99%. Only 1% of the world's power was left. As long as he could convert all the energy in his body into the dominator's power, Lu Ming could begin to attempt the 10,000 elements return to one and condense the Divine Fire. This trip to the cave abode had helped Lu Ming save a lot of time. Continue. After the breakthrough, Lu Ming continued to move forward along the Paas Sageway. Hu 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 and NBSP Hong Long Long. This time, after Lu Ming had walked for a while, he not only heard the terrifying whistling of the strong wind, but also deafening collision sounds. Lu Ming continued to move forward for a while and realized that he had finally reached the end of the Paas Sage. At the end of the Paas Sage, there were several other Paas Sages that intersected and converged. Each Paas Sage was filled with strong wind. The wind from several Paas Sages collided with each other, creating a shocking explosion. Furthermore, the wind from the few tunnels converged into an even larger tunnel, making the wind in that tunnel even stronger. Lu Ming felt that if he were to enter, He would not be able to resist for long before his body was torn apart by the strong wind. It seems that I can only stop here. I'm afraid I can't enter the depths of the cave abode. Lu Ming pondered. There's a cave here? Suddenly, Lu Ming noticed a dark cave beside the wall. He climbed along the wall and looked into the cave. It was dark and bottomless. Along the way, Lu Ming had not found any similar caves. Where did this cave lead to? Lu Ming was extremely curious. He pondered for a moment and decided to take a look. Lu Ming activated the power of domination. His eyes glowed. He could see everything in the dark cave. Lu Ming entered the cave. There was no wind in the cave. Lu Ming walked carefully along the cave. He reached the end of the cave after walking for a few thousand meters. Then, Lu Ming realized that he had come to a huge platform. The platform was very wide, and on one side of the platform, the sound of the wind could be heard. Lu Ming walked over to take a look and realized that in the direction of the platform, there was a hurricane pass. Sage. The strong wind there was extremely terrifying. It was many times stronger than the ones that Lu Ming had encountered before. Lu Ming's expression was a little grave. He did not dare to approach and stayed away from the hurricane pass. Sage. He sized up the other places on the platform. On the other side of the platform, there was a stone door. Lu Ming pushed the door open and entered, only to discover a pass. Sageway. There were some rooms on both sides of the pass. Sage. Could these be the bedroom? Lu Ming discovered that there were stone tables and stone beds in these rooms. However, they were all very ordinary and did not contain any treasures. The next few rooms were all ordinary stone tables and beds. They were of no value. Lu Ming's eyes lit up when he came to the last room. There were some shelves in the room, and on them were weapons. Lu Ming's heart began to beat rapidly. He picked up a combat sword nearby and infused his ruler's power into it. Buzz. The combat sword began to glow, and a powerful aura filled the air. This is a level 9 low-grade god equipment. Lu Ming's breathing quickened and his eyes were burning. This was definitely a level 9 low-grade god equipment. The meteor spear that Lu Ming had bought was only a level 6 low-grade divine artifact, but it was worth 7,000 divine crystals. A level 9 low-grade divine artifact's price was at least several times higher. It could be sold for 70 to 80,000 divine crystals, or even 100,000 divine crystals. There are words below. Lu Ming discovered that there was a small sign hanging on the hilt of the sword. There were words written on it. Guyu Sword, a level 9 low-quality god artifact. On the sign, there was a line of words. It really is a level 9 low-grade god artifact. Lu Ming laughed and kept it quickly. He then looked at the other weapons. Breeze Hook, a level 9 low-grade god equipment. Separation and Reunion Saber, level 8 low-grade god artifact. Lu Ming looked at 6 to 7 weapons in a row. All of them were level 7 low-grade divine artifacts or above. Enrich. Enrich, Lu Ming muttered to himself. This time he was really rich. Lu Ming never expected that he would have such a great harvest after passing through the hurricane tunnel. 6 Battle Rod, a middle-grade level 1 divine artifact. When Lu Ming picked up a long rod and took a look, his eyes immediately lit up. Chapter 2614 Ambushing the Ancestor of Technique. There was actually a middle-grade divine artifact here. A middle-grade divine weapon was equivalent to an expert at the True God Realm. Only an expert at the True God Realm could unleash the full power of a middle-grade divine weapon. Lu Ming's eyes burned even more fervently. He kept the long staff and sped up to read it. Level 3 middle-grade god equipment, level 2 middle-grade god equipment. A moment later, Lu Ming put away all the weapons. There were a total of 33 divine artifacts. All of them were level 7 low-grade god equipment and above. Any one of them was better than the meteor spear that he was using now. And NBSP among them, there were 20 low-quality divine artifacts. There were a total of 13 middle-grade divine artifacts. There were even 2 god tools in there. The highest level was a level 7 middle-grade god tool. One was a battle sword, and the other was a battle saber. How many god crystals could a middle-grade level 7 god equipment be sold for? Lu Ming could not estimate the value of a divine weapon of this level. Even forces like the Righteous Army, the Origin Hall, and the Walkabout sect could not produce one. It was too precious. Lu Ming had no idea how many divine crystals the 33 divine artifacts were worth. In short, he knew that he had struck it rich. From now on, he wouldn't have to worry about resources. His disciples, family, friends, and the people of the Dragon Alliance wouldn't have to worry about resources either. Meteor Spear, you can change it. Lu Ming was all smiles. Among the 33 divine artifacts, there were a few spears. The highest grade one was a middle grade rank 4 god artifact. And NBSP in addition, he had a level 8 low quality god artifact and a level 9 low quality god artifact. Lu Ming picked up a level 9 low-grade divine artifact and waved it a few times. It felt pretty good. After looting all the divine artifacts, Lu Ming wandered around for a while. He left only after he was sure that there were no more treasures. I can't go in with my cultivation. I can go back. Lu Ming was satisfied. After that, he would go through the cave and return to the hurricane tunnel. Then, he followed the original path and climbed the rock back. Going back was going against the wind, and it was very difficult. However, Lu Ming had already killed all the lion-headed eagle beasts in the hurricane pass. Sage. There were no lion-headed eagle beasts to stop him on his way back. Moreover, Lu Ming's cultivation level had increased by a notch, so he was still very fast. Even if it was against the wind, it was still many times faster than when they came. After Lu Ming had crawled back for a while, the people from the free and unfettered sect of the Yuanluo Palace finally opened the formation of the Pass Sage. They rushed through the Pass Sage. At the end of the Pass South Sage was the place where Lu Ming had obtained a large number of divine artifacts. Then, the palace master, Sidahaunen, and the others realized that the place was still empty. Other than some stone chairs and tables, there was nothing else. What's going on? The Yuanluo Palace master bellowed. He could no longer control his temper. After all his hard work, he found that there was nothing here. If he knew that Lu Ming had already arrived here, he would probably vomit blood in anger. Everyone's face was extremely unsightly. Then, when they found the hurricane tunnel, their faces became even more unsightly. The hurricane pass Sage here was a combination of several pass sages, and its power was astonishing. Even the Yuanluo Palace master was a little afraid of it. This should be a barrier set up by the master of the cave. Could it be that the real inner cave is in the depths of these hurricane pass sages? However, they were hesitant. Usually, such a place would definitely be accompanied by danger. Let's observe for a few days before making a decision, the Yuanluo Palace master said. In the sky above the Zhengtian army headquarters on Zhengtian planet, the ancestor of technique and Fu Heng had been playing this game of chess for more than 2 years. And now, it was already the final moment. Break! The ancestor of technique waved his hand and a huge chess piece was formed. He then placed it on the chessboard. Fu Heng's expression changed. He waved his hand, and a powerful force rushed toward the ancestor of technique, preventing him from placing the chess piece. Boom, boom. The two of them continued to attack each other. In the past 2 years, the two of them had already gone through this kind of confrontation countless times. After a dozen moves, boom. In the end, the ancestor of technique's chess piece still landed on the chessboard. You've lost. The ancestor of technique looked at Fu Heng. Brother Fa is indeed talented. I am impressed. The game is over, and I have fulfilled my promise. Brother Fa, please don't blame me. I'm leaving. With a wave of his sleeve, Fu Heng soared into the sky. Then, an interplanetary warship appeared. He boarded the warship and left the true sky star, Northern Shang planet. The moment Fu Heng left, the ancestor of technique immediately went to the teleportation formation and headed to the Northern Shang planet. After arriving at 7-Star Island, he immediately rushed to the ancient gold mine and met up with the Righteous Army 100,000 miles away from the ancient gold island. The general is here. General. The people of the righteous army immediately saluted the ancestor of technique. What's the situation at the Yuan Luo Palace in the past 2 years? The ancestor of technique asked. General, for the past 2 years, the palace master of the Yuan Luo Palace, the sect master of the Xiaoyao sect, and the others have all been in the cave abodes of the experts. They have never come out. Someone reported. That old fox Siduhaonan is here too. The ancestor of technique's eyes flashed with a sharp glint as he ordered, "You guys wait for me here, I'll go check it out myself." With that, the ancestor of technique turned into a beam of light and rushed toward the old gold mine. "It's the Righteous Heaven Army's General Fa Ming. Quickly inform the hall master and the others." The moment the ancestor of technique arrived, the people from the Yuan Luo Palace and the Carefree sect immediately noticed him. Under the leadership of a few true God stage experts, they were on high alert and sent the news to the Yuan Luo Palace master and the others. Both Yuan Luo Palace master and Siduhaonan received the news at the same time. Fa Ming actually dared to come alone. "Fine, I'll make him stay today." Yuan Luo Palace master's eyes glinted with a cold light. After spending a few years without getting anything in return, he was filled with anger. "That's good. Well, get rid of Fa Ming and split the righteous army's territory equally." Siduhaonan also said coldly. "Elder Imo, you should hide in the dark first. Fa Ming might think that you're still guarding the headquarters. Later on, when Brother Situ and I fight with Fa Ming, you'll secretly attack and ambush him." The hall master of the Yuan Luo Hall ordered. The Yuan Luo Palace master was rather wary of the ancestor of technique. He and Mo were both at the 4th stage of True God Realm, while the ancestor of technique was only at the 3rd stage of True God Realm. However, the ancestor of technique's combat power was extremely strong. With his power alone, he could fight with the two of them. Even with the help of Siduhaonan, they were not confident that they could stop the ancestor of technique if they were to fight him head-on. They could not stop him if he wanted to leave. Only a sneak attack could possibly stop the ancestor of technique. Don't worry. The Grand Elder of the Walkabout sect is also hiding near the Chenjin mine. He can also launch a sneak attack when the time comes. Well, definitely make Fa Ming stay here today. Siduhaonan said coldly. The Yuan Luo Palace master's heart trembled as he thought, "Old fox, this Siduhaonan must have asked a Grand Elder of the Walkabout sect to hide in the dark to guard against the Yuan Luo Palace. Alright, then today, I'll make sure that Fa Ming won't be able to return." The Yuan Luo Palace master said coldly as they headed out. Chapter 2615 True God Battle Outside the Cave. The ancestor of technique stood in the void, exuding a vast divine might. Set up the formation. The Yuan Luo and free and unfettered sect experts who were guarding outside the cave had extremely grave expressions on their faces. One by one, they retreated and set up a great formation, waiting for the attack. The ancestor of technique's name was Too Great. A person who came out of a small kiliacosm under the jurisdiction of the Yuan Luo Palace broke free from the restraints of the Yuan Luo Palace and rose against the heavens. He created the righteous army to fight against the Yuan Luo Palace. More importantly, the ancestor of technique's combat strength was extremely powerful. He had fought against 2 experts from the Yuan Luo Palace alone and established a great reputation. Even though there was a 3rd stage true god from the Yuan Luo Palace who had the same cultivation as the ancestor of technique, his face was pale and his heart was filled with fear. He had once seen the ancestor of technique kill a stage 3 true god expert with a single move. He didn't have the slightest bit of courage to face the ancestor of technique. "Kong Ji, get out here!" The ancestor of technique shouted coldly. His voice was so loud that many people with weak cultivation had to step back. "Fa Ming, do you only know how to act so arrogantly in front of my subordinates?" The voice of the palace master of the Yuan Luo Palace, Kong Ji, could be heard from within the cave. Then, with a flash, more than 10 figures rushed out of the cave abode. It was Kong Ji, Siduhaonan, and the others. Of course, the Grand Elder of the Yuan Luo Palace, Missouri Kan, did not appear. Kong Ji's eyes swept around and found that only Fa Ming was there. The cold light in his eyes became even thicker. Kong Ji, Chen Jin Dao, originally belonged to my righteous army. Now you can get lost. The ancestor of technique said. Ha, laughable, truly laughable. Kong Ji laughed and looked at the ancestor of technique with a mocking expression. Fiming, you're really naive. You've been in the chaotic astral river for so many years, yet you still don't understand one thing. In the chaotic astral river, whoever is stronger will be able to occupy more and more territory. From now on, this island, no, the entire northern Shang planet will belong to my Yuan Luo Palace and the free and unfettered sect. Do you understand? Since that's the case, let's use our strength to speak. The ancestor of technique was very direct. He stepped out, and his vast divine power burst out like a tide. Boom! The ancestor of technique's palm pressed down. His divine power boiled and a huge palm print smashed down towards Kong Ji. Kong Ji didn't dare to be careless. His fourth-level True God Realm divine power completely erupted. In his hand, a battle blade appeared. A blade light soared into the sky and slashed towards the technique ancestor's palm print. Boom! And NBSP energy shot into the sky as divine power clashed, creating shockwaves that scattered in all directions. Not good, block it. The True God Realm experts from the Yuan Luo Palace and the Walkabout sect all laid down layers of defense in front of them to block the shockwaves, but they were still pushed back by the shockwaves. Some of the weaker ones spat out blood and their faces turned pale. If there were true God experts to defend, those with weaker cultivation would have been killed by the shockwaves. There was a huge difference between the Void God Realm and the True God Realm. At the same time, the blade light and the palm print dissipated. A figure continuously retreated, and the person who retreated was Kong Ji. His cultivation was clearly at the fourth stage of True God Realm, one stage higher than the ancestor of technique. However, in a head-on battle, he was at a disadvantage. Kong Ji, your battle strength is not good enough. The ancestor of technique said coldly. He activated his divine power and struck out with his palm again. Sun Blade Technique. And NBS kill. Kong Ji shouted, and his middle-grade level 4 God artifact battle saber emitted a dazzling saber light that was as dazzling as the sun. Then he struck out with his saber. The scorching saber light slashed at the ancestor of technique's palm print. Kong Ji displayed his godly skill. Fiming, take this. The leader of the free and unfettered sect, Sidohaonan, also made his move. His body moved like a flickering light and a passing shadow. He was extremely fast as he rushed towards the ancestor of technique. At the same time, a soft sword appeared in his hand. The sword light was like a poisonous snake as it stabbed towards the vital parts of the ancestor of technique. This was also a terrifying divine skill. Kong Ji and Sidohaonan both used their godly skills. The ancestor of technique's face finally revealed a trace of seriousness. In his hand, a combat sword also appeared. The blade of the sword was a full 2 meters long. Buzz! The ancestor of technique slashed out with his sword, and the sword light broke through the air and flashed. Boom! Boom! With 2 violent explosions, the ancestor of technique blocked Kong Ji and Sidohaonan's attacks. Fiming, since you dared to come here alone today, you can stay here forever. Kong Ji continuously used his Shun power and used his Shun technique to the extreme. The power was extremely terrifying as he attacked. At the same time, Sidohaonan's body flickered and moved around at an extremely fast speed, taking the opportunity to attack the ancestor of technique's weakness. With the two of them working together, their power increased sharply. The ancestor of technique focused his attention and fought 1 against 2, and it was difficult to tell who was winning. The 3 of them fought on the sea, creating huge waves, and then fought in the sky. In the blink of an eye, the 3 of them had exchanged hundreds of moves, and it was difficult to determine the winner. At this time, the 3 of them were fighting on the sea again. Suddenly, the surface of the sea churned, and a terrifying destructive light burst out from the sea and attacked the ancestor of technique. Mo Kan! The ancestor of technique shouted angrily. Ha fa ming dai! Kang Ji laughed and launched a violent attack. Sidu Haonan also burst out with full power attacks, coordinating with Mo Kan's sneak attack. Just as the ancestor of technique was about to be hit, suddenly, the sword light on his body expanded and shot out in all directions. Boom, boom, boom. Kang Ji, Sidu Haonan, and Mo Kan's attacks were all blocked by the sword light that filled the sky. Buzz. Woo. Kang Ji, Sidu Haonan, and Mo Kan retreated quickly. They stood in the air and looked at the ancestor of technique in shock. You've reached the third level of your divine skill? Kang Ji roared in shock. A divine skill was naturally an attack of the martial god realm. It could exert the power of divine power to the extreme and burst out with terrifying power. It had the same meaning as martial skills. According to the different power and the different degree of profoundness, divine skills were also divided into different levels. However, the division of Shen skills was completely related to the level of mystery. For example, a divine skill only had one level. Even if it was cultivated to the peak, there would only be one level, and that would be a divine skill of the first level. Some divine skills, when cultivated to the peak, had two levels, and that would be two divine skills. Two divine skills were naturally more powerful and terrifying than one. Some divine skills, when cultivated to the peak, would have three levels, and would become three levels of divine skills. The more levels a divine skill had, the greater its potential and the higher its value. Of course, the cultivation of a Shen technique is very profound and complicated. Even if you have it, you might not be able to cultivate it to the highest level. For example, if a person's talent was limited and he had a triple-layer divine skill, but could only cultivate it to the first layer, then the power would be no different from that of a first-layer divine skill. The more profound it was, the more levels it would have. There were 4th, 5th, 6th, and even 9th and 10th levels. The minimum requirement to cultivate a divine skill was to be at peak void god level, because it consumed a lot of divine power to use divine level. Without great divine power, it could not be sustained at all. Kang Ji and Sidu Haonan both have a triple-stage spirit technique, but they've only cultivated it to the second stage. The ancestor of technique also had a triple divine skill, but he had already cultivated it to the third level. Chapter 2616 Unexpected Calamity. One had to know that the ancestor of technique was only at stage 3 true god realm, but he had already cultivated a divine technique to stage 3. This kind of comprehension ability was simply terrifying. He must be eliminated. Kang Ji roared in his heart. The ancestor of technique was so terrifying. If he were to break through to the 4th level of the true god stage, how terrible would that be? So what if you've cultivated your divine skill to the 3rd level? You'll still die today. Kang Ji roared and charged towards the ancestor of technique. At the same time, Sidu Haonan and Mo can also charge towards the ancestor of technique. Each of them unleashed their divine skills to their maximum potential. Sword-breaking art. The ancestor of technique's sword stabbed out continuously. There were more than 10 sword lights that stabbed towards Kang Ji, Sidu Haonan, and Mo Kan. This was the technique ancestor's divine technique. It had already been cultivated to the 3rd level, and its power was extremely strong. It continuously collided with the attacks of Kang Ji and the others. In the air, the ancestor of technique was forced to retreat. However, he still managed to block the attacks from Kang Ji and the others. He was only at a slight disadvantage. Kill. Kang Ji was extremely shocked. With the power of the 3 of them, they were actually unable to take down the ancestor of technique. Didn't that mean that without Sidu Haonan, he and Mo Kan were not the ancestor of technique's match? He had to get rid of the ancestor of technique, or else he would not be able to eat or sleep in peace. Sidu Haonan had the same thought. The carefree sex strength was similar to the Yuan Luo Palace. The 3 of them once again charged towards the ancestor of technique. The 2 sides were locked in a fierce battle. Force him to the island. During the battle, Sidu Haonan transmitted a message to Kang Ji and Mo Kan. Kang Ji's eyes flashed with ferocity. He continued to attack violently, forcing the ancestor of technique towards Qinjindao. On Qinjin Island, the people from the Yuan Luo Palace and the Walkabout sect retreated far away, not daring to stay there. Slowly, their battle moved to Qinjing Island. All of a sudden, a sword light burst out from a hidden place on the island. The sword light was bright and sharp, and its power was extremely shocking. It was not any weaker than Situ Haonan's. "You guys," the ancestor of technique revealed a shocked expression. He knew that he had been ambushed, and the other side still had experts to kill him. He didn't need to think to know that it was a grand elder of the Walkabout sect, an existence at the 4th level of the True God stage. The ancestor of technique tried his best to dodge, but Kong Ji and the other two launched a fierce attack, making it difficult for the ancestor of technique to truly dodge. In the end, the ancestor of technique didn't completely avoid it. A sword light streaked across his chest, almost cutting him to the side. "Get lost!" the ancestor of technique roared. In an instant, hundreds of sword lights shot out, forcing Kong Ji and the others to retreat. With a flash, Kong Ji and the other three surrounded the ancestor of technique. "Very good. I didn't expect that the strongest people of your two forces would be here." The ancestor of technique's face was pale. Although he had managed to avoid being hit in his vital parts, he had still suffered some injuries and his strength had been reduced. "Fa Ming, your fate has already been decided today. A mere ant from a small kiliacosm can't defy the heavens." Kong Ji coldly said, "Ah, so what if it's a small world? Do you think you're Blee just because you were born in the primeval world? How laughable! If it was a one-on-one battle, you all would be nothing more than clay chickens and pottery dogs." The ancestor of technique laughed coldly, his face filled with contempt. Kong Ji and the other three's faces were a bit gloomy. Indeed, none of the four of them were the ancestor of technique's match in a one-on-one battle. Even though their cultivation levels were higher. You only know how to use your tongue. The winner is king and the loser is a bandit. Siming, he'll send you on your way. Kong Ji didn't waste any more words and his figure rushed towards the ancestor of technique. At the same time, Situ Haonan and the other two also launched their attacks. Before this, the ancestor of technique had fought 3 people alone and was not a match for them. Now that he was injured, he was even less of a match for 4 people alone. He was at a disadvantage the moment they started fighting. General Zheng Tian is finished. In the future, the territory of the righteous army will belong to our 2 families. Not far away, the people from the Yuan Luo Palace and the Walkabout sect thought excitedly. Boom, boom. The ancestor of technique and the other 4 fought intensely. The ancestor of technique was completely at a disadvantage and could only try his best to block. He had no power to fight back. Bang! After exchanging dozens of blows, the ancestor of technique's body was sent flying and crashed heavily into Qinjin's island. Boom! Smoke and dust filled the air, and the sky was filled with ancient gold ore. A huge pit appeared on the island. At this time, Lu Ming had already said through the hurricane sage and returned to the Qingjin or vein. He followed the tunnel of the mine Qiuqiu had dug out earlier and headed out of Qinjing Island. Boom, boom, boom. He was only halfway there when a violent boom came from above. Then he felt the entire island shaking. Then, a terrifying force rushed toward him along the mine vein above. Not good. Lu Ming retreated frantically. Then, the mine vein in the area exploded continuously. Lu Ming was sent flying by a force. The ancestor of technique was lying in the deep pit on the island, spitting out large mouthfuls of blood. This attack made his injuries a little worse. Buzz! The ancestor of technique barely managed to stabilize his injuries and rushed out of the deep pit. The auras of Kong Ji and the other 3 firmly locked onto the ancestor of technique, trapping him in the middle. Suddenly, Kong Ji and the others were stunned because they felt an aura of life within a pile of rocks. Bang! Then the rocks exploded and a figure rushed out. This figure was naturally Lu Ming. Nest, what's going on? Lu Ming was speechless. He had also encountered an undeserved disaster when he said through the old gold mine. When his gaze swept across Kang Ji and the rest, his heart skipped a beat. He knew that this was bad. Kang Ji and the rest's aura was too terrifying. In Lu Ming's opinion, they were simply unfathomable. Lu Ming, why are you here? At this moment, the ancestor of technique also saw Lu Ming. He was shocked. In a flash, he appeared beside Lu Ming. Ancestor of technique. Lu Ming was overjoyed to see the ancestor of technique. So you're an ant from the righteous army. Timing, it's your fortune to have a little brat die with you. Kang Ji coldly said. The ferocity in his eyes became stronger and stronger. Kang Ji, the master of the Yuan Luo Palace. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat and many thoughts flashed through his mind. He roughly knew what had happened. The ancestor of technique was being surrounded. Don't worry, Fa Ming. After you die, I'll send the people of the righteous army to accompany you. Sidu Haonan also said coldly. The four of them gradually approached the ancestor of technique, preparing to launch a thunderous attack to kill him. Senior, this battle sword is for you. At this moment, Lu Ming took out a combat sword and handed it to the ancestor of technique. This combat sword was one of the 2 level 7 middle-grade divine artifacts that Lu Ming had obtained from the cave abode. The moment he saw the sword, the ancestor of technique's eyes widened in shock. However, he did not hesitate. He took it and spat a mouthful of blood onto the sword. He didn't have time to refine it now, but by sacrificing it with blood he could temporarily release the power of the combat sword and control it freely. Buzz! The battle sword shook, and a beam of sword chi shot up into the sky. Chapter 2617 Depressed Kang Ji, that is, a middle-grade level 7 god artifact. Kang Ji, Sidu Haonan, Emiken and the rest couldn't help but widen their eyes, revealing an extremely shocked expression. At the same time, there was also a deep sense of greed. Kill! The ancestor of technique shouted and displayed the sword-breaking art. The sword light was bright and thick like pillars as it charged towards Kang Ji and the others. Attack! Kang Ji and the others also made their moves. 4 terrifying attacks were aimed at the ancestor of technique. Boom! Boom! A violent explosion sounded. The ancestor of technique's body retreated a few steps, but the attacks of Kang Ji and the others were all blocked by the ancestor of technique. He was only at a slight disadvantage. It really is a level 7 middle-grade god artifact. Damn it, how could that brat have a level 7 middle-grade divine artifact? This kid must have had some fortuitous encounter. Kang Ji, Sidu Haonan and the others shouted. However, they did not suspect that Lu Ming had obtained the divine weapon from the cave abode. This was because the door to the cave abode was too difficult to break open. Even with so many people, they would need to spend a lot of time to break it. How could Lu Ming break it? Moreover, they had searched the cave and found no other entrance. They only thought that Lu Ming had a fortuitous encounter from somewhere else. Lu Ming, follow me closely, the ancestor of technique said. Lu Ming nodded and followed closely behind the ancestor of technique. Let's see which one of you can stop me. The ancestor of technique's long hair flew in the air, and his sword chi was wild as it rushed towards Kang Ji's direction. Stop him! Kang Ji roared and charged towards the ancestor of technique. Sidu Haonan and the others also launched their attacks. However, the ancestor of technique was controlling a middle-grade level 7 divine artifact, and his battle prowess increased by a level. He was no longer afraid of Kang Ji and the other 3 joining forces. Both sides continued to attack and exchanged dozens of moves in an instant. However, the ancestor of technique was only at a slight disadvantage. Bang! In the end, the ancestor of technique defeated Kang Ji and brought Lu Ming out of the tight encirclement. I want to accompany you today. If you want to fight, well, fight another day. The ancestor of technique carried Lu Ming and flew into the distance. His voice could be heard from afar. Damn it, damn it! Kang Ji roared endlessly. His face was filled with a sinister expression. Today was such a good opportunity, but the ancestor of technique had actually escaped. Furthermore, the ancestor of technique had also obtained a middle-grade level 7 divine artifact, which greatly increased his battle prowess. This was extremely disadvantageous to them. What do we do? Sidhu Haonan's expression turned ugly. They did not pursue. They knew that even if they caught up, they would not be able to kill the ancestor of technique. If the ancestor of technique went all out, even if they could kill him, at least 2 of them would die. None of them wanted to die. Alliance, we must form an alliance, a real alliance. Otherwise, we will be broken by the ancestor of technique one by one. Kang Ji gritted his teeth and said, "All right." Sidhu Haonan immediately nodded. In the current situation, none of them were the ancestor of technique's match. They had to truly join forces and support each other if there was a situation. Only then could they fight against the ancestor of technique. Also, we have to break through this cave as soon as possible. As long as we get the treasures inside, we won't have to fear the ancestor of technique. Kangji said, "That's right, attack immediately," Sidhu Haonan said. Then, they immediately returned to the cave dwelling, planning to take a risk and try to enter the hurricane pass. Sage. The ancestor of technique brought Lu Ming and flew tens of thousands of miles away in the blink of an eye before he stopped. The ancestor of technique spat out a mouthful of blood and his face became paler. "Senior, are you all right?" Lu Ming was a little worried. "It's okay, it'll be fine after regulating my breath. Kang Ji and the others probably won't dare to chase after us. Let's rest again." After saying that, the ancestor of technique took out a healing elixir and swallowed it. Then he started to heal himself. The ancestor of technique's injuries weren't very serious. Not long after, his complexion became much better. "Lu Ming, it's all thanks to you this time. I'll return this divine weapon to you." The ancestor of technique smiled. He took out the level 7 middle-grade divine artifact and handed it to Lu Ming. "Senior, you can keep this divine artifact for now." Lu Ming smiled but did not take it. "How can this be? A middle-grade level 7 god artifact is too valuable. How can I accept it?" The ancestor of technique shook his head. Even he, Kang Ji, Sidhu Haonan and the others didn't have a level 7 middle-grade god artifact. The ones they used before were all level 4 middle-grade god artifacts. "Senior, just take it as I'm lending it to you first. I can't use this divine artifact even if I keep it. Only you can use it to fight against Kang Ji and the others." Lu Ming said. Right now, the Yuan Luo Palace and the Walkabout sect had joined forces, and the righteous army was all alone. Without a middle-grade level 7 divine artifact, the ancestor of technique might not be a match for the other party. Only with this divine artifact could he contend with the other party and make them fear him. "Alright, I'll keep it for now. I'll return it to you when your cultivation improves." The ancestor of technique muttered to himself and did not decline. He also understood that Lu Ming was right. If he didn't have a level 7 middle-grade god artifact, if Kang Ji, Sidhu Haonan and the others joined forces to deal with him, he would really be no match. Putting away the combat sword, the ancestor of technique brought Lu Ming and met up with the rest of the righteous army. "Ancestor of technique, how's the situation? Should we kill our way over? We can't let the Yuan Luo Palace occupy that expert's cave," the people of the righteous army said one by one. "It doesn't matter. How is it possible for the Yuan Luo Palace and the Walkabout sect to occupy this cave? Let's go back to the righteous army and spread the news that there's an expert's cave here." The ancestor of technique said. "General is wise. Since we can't have it, they can't have it all to themselves." "Ha ha, ha." The righteous army laughed. Then, they returned to 7-Star Island and used the teleportation formation to return to the righteous army. Then, they started to spread the news. Very quickly, the news of a deity's cave dwelling on the northern Shang star spread like a hurricane through the chaotic astral river, reaching the ears of every single power. What? It's actually a deity's cave abode. It's extremely rare in the chaotic astral river. I can't miss it. Looks like I'll have to make a trip there myself. In the chaotic astral river, all the powers, big and small, were alarmed. One expert after another hurried to northern Shang. In the chaotic astral river, divine realm experts are supreme existences. Their divine might can shake the endless starry sky. Currently, in the chaotic astral river, only the Yunfeng Pavilion has a single heavenly deity. The deity's cave dwelling was too attractive to the true god realm experts of the big and small forces. Not long after, experts arrived at the Qinjin mine on planet Northern Shang. All of them were true god stage existences. Moreover, the majority of them were powerhouses above the 4th stage true god realm. Damn it, damn Fa Ming, damn righteous army. Kong Ji roared again and again. He was so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. With so many experts here, how could they have a share? They could only follow the crowd. Even if there were treasures inside, they might not even get a share. Any force here would not be weaker than the Yuan Luo Palace. Kong Ji really wanted to vomit blood. After he discovered this deity's cave dwelling, he didn't even get a single hair. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.